Onyia, no gelugo.
It is time.
It's time.
It is time.
It's the MONI Show.
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 Makodimma Ndi Igbo. Let the conversation begin.
Hello everyone, welcome to the MONI Show. Makodimma Ndi Igbo. Nke a bụ nkata ụmụ Igbo, nkata ndị ọma, nkata ndị na-edozi obodo, nkata ndị na-emesi ife ike, ụmụ Igbo nọ na mba niile. Afa m bụ Chuka, anyị apụtaghị ọzọ ebe a ka ọ na-eme. Ndewonu, thank you for joining us. You're welcome to the show once again. I ga na-asụ Igbo na this particular show nke a na-eme today maka the uniqueness of the conversation. I ga na-emix here mix, wetago. Anyị sụọ Igbo, anyị asụọ Igbo. Nke ọbụla kwelụ gị ime. Ọ bụ na oyibo ekwere gị asụ, ịsụọ Igbo. Ọ bụ na Igbo asọka gị too much, ịsụọ Igbo. Ọ bụkwa na ịchọ ịsụsụ oyibo, ịsụọ Igbo, nsogbu adịrọ. And ịchọkwa ịkpọkọta ọnụ nke a na-akpọ ngili Igbo, ịsụtụ oyibo, itinye Igbo n'ime ya, nsogbu adịrọ. Otu ọ bụ na o si wee gaa, as long as anyị na-aghọta onwe anyị ka anyị na-akpa nkata. That is all that matters in this conversation. So, ọ ka ọ ga-esi wee dị today. Casey, ekene m gị, kekime. Casey, can you hear me?
I'm ekene gị nwanne m, kekime.
Anyị apụtago ka anyị mee ka anyị si eme.
Ka anyị na-aga n'iru.
Ọkwa ịkwado ọfụma. Ọgọ nwe today, ọgọ bụ chairman of the occasion.
Nsogbu adịrọ, ka anyị na-aga n'iru.
Oh yes. Because we are live streaming this conversation on other platforms, especially YouTube and Facebook at Onyia Media. If you're on this conversation and you like what is going on, you can refer this to other people who are not able to come in to Twitter, who can follow us on Facebook at Onyia Media Official or YouTube at Onyia Media and listen to what we're doing here live. At some point, we're going to be able to bring them in via another means to join the conversation, even though they are not on Twitter. But for now, it's what I guess we're for now. And please, we would like you to share the space, do everything you can to let people know that this is going on. Share on your DP, share on your WhatsApp. Let's bring in enough people. This is a very, very important conversation. Once again, this is the MONI Show. MONI means Makodimma Ndi Igbo. It's just an acronym. It's not about money. It's not about ego. It's about Makodimma Ndi Igbo. And it's a conversation for progressive Igbos. Everybody nabia, rub minds, share ideas, and find the very viable solutions to nsogbu and wegasi and kaigesi we ganiru kandi Igbo. Okwa na find on here. So today, nke a ga-adị iche maka nke anọ anyị nwe ka nketa ga-adị. Nke a bụrụ nke onye pụtazi okwu, nke a bụ ajụjụ ka onye ọbụla ga-ajụ. Most people never ga-ajụ ajụjụ today because if I chọrọ ime today ga-adị a little different from if I na-eme since. Ka m gwara unu before, like I said the last time I meet you, that today that this month I banye bụ economic I need discuss. Gbasara economy Ndi Igbo. Because in spite of the fact that I'm an obodo Nigeria, it doesn't stop us from developing our own economy. And I kwesịrị ịnebara anya ụzọ dị iche iche n'ebe dị iche iche n'economy anyị mara ife anyị ga-eme. Because anyị nwekwara ike, anyị nwekwara the strength, anyị nwere the means, anyị nwere the connections, anyị nwere the talent, anyị nwere the skills, anyị nwere the network, anyị nwere ife niile anyị need. So all figures it out together ka anyị ga-esi wee mee ya, wee bunite obodo anyị, dozie obodo anyị, mee ka ọ wọkwụọla onye ọbụla ọkwa ife anyị na-achọ. So today, nkata anyị na-akpa today dị iche. Ndị be anyị si na akụluo ụlọ ekwuo onye kpatara ya, akụluo ụlọ ekwuo ebe o si bido, akụluo ụlọ ọ baala onye ọbụla, akụluo ụlọ edozi obodo, akụluo ụlọ ba anyị amakarịa ka o si wee dị now. So today's conversation is just about that, exploring the investment opportunities in Ala Igbo. And tonight, we have joining us tonight on the conversation, one of us, a financial analyst, certified financial educator, on our role in Obodo Igbo, but he has been contributing immensely to developing the economy in Nigeria in many ways. But today he's coming to focus on Ife Gbasara economy in Ndi Igbo with us. Let's welcome Mazi Kalu Aja. Kalu, you're welcome.
How you doing? Thank you, Ka, everybody. So yeah, glad to be here. Apologies, I'll pay the English fine, right? I'll pay it, but I want to talk a lot about the economics, and I try to use economics translator to translate inflation to Igbo. It didn't give me an answer, so I apologize. I will try to speak in English, but I can hear. If you ask me a question in Igbo, I'll answer. Just to let you know. So thanks for having me, sir. I appreciate it.
This is a wild draw. I like that car. that comes very heavy. Really, it doesn't really matter if we speak English or Igbo, as long as we can delve into the details of what we need to do. Because Oyibo ni Igbo Fifa. Oyibo develop go very well. You know, Igbo indices now. Gini indices in Igbo. You know, Gini empirical evidence in Igbo. We can so I feel to be able to get all those vocabularies and explain things very, very well in a way that everybody can understand it and be able to apply it. You know, and the truth is that so I'm worried for me. I can like that. Let's dive in. We have really, really advanced as Ndi Igbo. I may go so much in different fields, in different areas of endeavor. Anyị ejegokwanụ jee na mba, anyị ejego Port Harcourt, jee Abuja, jee Kano, jee Sokoto, jee Jos, jee Lagos, jee Accra, jee Lome, jee Cotonou, jee Joburg, jee New York, jee Los Angeles, Houston, Atlanta, Toronto, Milan, Berlin, Lisbon, London, all kinds of things, all kinds of companies, manufacturing, hotels, name it, malls, schools, hospitals, and what if I it's time to bring some of that wealth home, the home that produced us. Because maybe na fa na-eje egote afia, agotesi afa anata. Ụfọdụ na-ejekwa ka fa je mee ife a na-akpọ vacation, ekpolie ndụ, mee mmemme, lie ego fa kpata, fa jesia fa anata. Ụfọdụ kwa na-eje for medical purposes. Ụfọdụ kwa na-eje ka fa ụmụ fa je gụọ akwụkwọ n'ebe a wee nata. Mana ọ nwekwa ndị na-enwere ike ije anywhere because fe nwere that means or because na fa adịrị interested ije anywhere. So I get those bank or where balo onye ọbụla. We can create opportunities for everybody being an Igbo. Raise the standard of living in the Igbo. Upgrade our healthcare, our education, everything gbasara ndị Igbo. Ka o wee nwee ike dị ka ebe na-asọ anyị ụsọ. Ebe ọ ga-abụ ebe ọ bụla ị nọ n'ụwa, ị nọ na Japan, ị nọ na Australia, ọ na-agụ ilu ụlọ. And he decided kwana ka ilu a man ilu tekwana arụ nọ like this, it will feel so good that you don't even want to go back to where you come from. Or if I natural. Because I may want to a lot, reduce so many of the burdens I am well. Bundibo. And we will make more money, we will create more wealth, attract more people to our region. So economy is one of the ways to go about it. That's why I risk banging at this conversation in this way today. And I again but before then, I want to say that we will have to manage our time. Well, Mike, just take 60 seconds, draw your question. You know, I want to just state the rules. We have a ground rules here. One of them is stick to the conversation. Second, go straight to the point. We don't need to greet too many people because I don't want time. When they take so much time to exhaustify now. The third one, Biko, respect the people listening to you and respect yourself. Fourth one, avoid a noisy surrounding. We but I better quiet. We close your mic. That's all. And we are recording all these things that we're doing so other people can listen to it later. So today is more of questions. And if you're not interested in requesting the mic, but you can put a question on the comment section, Pico, feel free. Send your question, drop it on the comment section. We read it out from there. If you also want to request the mic and come and ask your question directly, fine. If you are in the field, in the economy field, right, and did advance you can also come sometime, just cheap fee, more drudgery feel, no get like to expand the conversation even further. Feel free to come up request the mic. We'll give you the opportunity to ask a question or make any kind of contribution. I don't know. Kalu, are you ready?
Yeah, always. Just go.
I like that. Okay, let me just let me start with this. With all the drama we have with the Naira right now, a lot of people, particularly in the buying, seem to be averse to making major investments in Nigeria right now. People now about also generally. With Ala Igbo in focus, is there any difference? Like, is anything different, especially considering the developments going on in Abia State right now, by the governor, Alex Oti, and then the pressure that is putting on the other governors to perform better? Because the light is on him, the spotlight is on him, and all the praises that is lavished on him makes every other person envious and puts pressure on them. So, onweko si diche na Ala Igbo when you look at it from your professional point of view.
Okay, so interesting question. It's a very loaded question. Let me try to answer it this way. If you look across Nigeria, when we say Nigeria, we're talking about the individual states, now down to the individuals living in the states, right? Yes. What you see is that there is an incidence of poverty across Nigeria. So Nigeria itself is a rich country. We've got gold, we've got oil, we've got diamonds. So the federation is a very, very rich federation. But once you move away from Nigeria to the states, to the households, you find this immense incidence of poverty across the country. And to be clear, let me define poverty for you. So because people need to understand what poverty is in Nigeria. If you earn less than 137,000, let's call it 138,000 a year, you are poor in Nigeria. So that bar is low, and yet there are poor people in Nigeria. So let me say it again. If you earn less than 138,000 naira per annum in Nigeria, you are poor. And yet, with this low number per annum, with this low number, you still have a huge incidence of poverty in Nigeria. So let's go somewhere. Where in Nigeria do you find a bit of respite in these poverty statistics? It's going to be in Lagos as a state and Southeast as a region. If you look at the numbers, and again, I'm quoting from the Nigerian let me give you the exact words because I know it's being recorded and people are going to do a bit of fact checking after this. So I want to make sure I give you the exact quote of where the report I'm reading from. So Nigeria did what we call a multi-dimensional poverty index study. This was done by the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics. So I'm quoting the Nigerian multi-dimensional poverty index. If you look at the specifics, the region that has the lowest poverty, that's the Southeast. So across the board, in terms of the incidence, in terms of the population share that is poor, also in terms of the number of poor people, the lowest number is going to be in the Southeast. So if you add Lagos, then Lagos becomes, as a region or as a state, it surpasses every other state. If you drill down, now if you take Lagos into the equation and you drill down and you say, okay, in these states, where can we find the region or the states across the board that have, should we say, are not poor? Again, the Southeast comes to fore. There are more poor people, or how do I put it this way? The number of poor people in the Southeast is lower than the number of poor people in every state in Nigeria, including Lagos State. So I say it again, number of poor people in the Southeast, the states in the Southeast, is lower than number of poor people in any state, including Lagos. If you take it, say, state by state, the incidence by age group, number of people by actual number, if you're counting per million. So why am I quoting the stats for you? I'm just trying to lay the framework that the Southeast is sitting on a region that has a unique advantage of having very, very, should we say, the incidence of poverty is not as serious in the Southeast as you have it across Nigeria. There's one exception in the Southeast. I don't know if we should name the state. There's one exception that when you put that state in the Southeast, it skews the number. If you remove that state from the Southeast, you are comparing the Southeast to a poor European country if you remove that state from the Southeast. So the point I'm making is that even when you have the Naira issues, you have the poverty issues, if you are living in the Southeast, you tend to do better than if you are living in any part of the country. Okay, why is that? Why? It's because poverty in Nigeria is a geographical phenomenon. It's a phenomenon that occurs in the rural areas. So a poor profile, if you said to computer, give me a profile of a poor Nigerian, it will give you a Nigerian that is female, that is young, that is living in a rural area. And sadly, that female is highly educated. So if you take away the female and educated part and just say, give me a profile of a poor Nigerian, it will give you a Nigerian that is young, that is living in a rural area. So the advantage, if that is man-made or natural advantage for the Southeast, is that most of the Southeast is developed. The most developed part of Nigeria is Lagos. When we say developed, we mean the building of infrastructure, road, rail, all that kind of stuff. It's Lagos. Next is the Southeast. And I think that blunts the effect of this poverty in Nigeria in the Southeast. So you can go from Anambra, and as you are driving on the road, you see homes, houses, water, schools, and all that. Those things blunt out poverty. The more educated you are, the less poor you can become. There's a direct correlation between education and poverty, between masters and poverty, between primary school education and poverty. And that's what you then see in the Southeast, that because the Southeast seems to have this urban development and education, then it blunts out the effect of poverty in the Southeast. So to your question, is it different in the Southeast? Yes. Because if you want to invest in a country, you don't invest when things are going well. You're going to be buying goods at the expensive cost. You want to invest when things are bad. That's what Warren Buffett does. So are things in Nigeria good or bad? Things in Nigeria are bad. So if you want to invest, this is the best time to invest. So where should you invest? Of course, you want to invest in a place where at least people can pay you back. So you can make at least a return on investment on what you are doing. So if you look across the country, if you were not a Nigerian and you just pulled up the data, you would say, okay, I want to invest in these places where the incidence of poverty is not as high because at least those guys can afford my product. When it's going to be Lagos and the entire Southeast region, apart from that one particular state. Even if you add that particular state, it's still going to be the same, but that state does skew the data considerably. It's like you're doing 9999, then you have 3. So it's a big skew on the data. So that's why you see, number one, explaining why there's less poverty or why things seem to be kind of quote unquote different in the Southeast, and also explains where the opportunities for you are, which is also ironic that many people leave the Southeast to go to other parts of Nigeria when where they are staying has got the lowest incidence of poverty in Nigeria. So I just want to start to lay the groundwork. And I think I shared the data with Shuka, so he can share the data so you can see where I'm getting my figures from. So don't take
we're doing that. Yeah, we'll put it on the JT.
Yeah, you will see the numbers out there for all the states in Nigeria with the incidents and all that. So you can see where I'm getting that data from. So that's just to lay the framework, sir, for the conversation. Thank you.
That is so fact-filled. I love that. Thank you so much for that submission. It makes things a lot easier to understand why we seem to be having a different experience in Nigeria, even though we're in Nigeria. But I think there is more that we will explore regarding that as we make progress. I want to follow it up with this. We know that there are a lot of bottlenecks, to doing business in Nigeria right now, even possibly more bottlenecks in Ala Igbo. I don't know, I can't prove this, but that's the impression that is out there, that there is more bottlenecks in Ala Igbo when it comes to doing business, which could be why people are navigating towards Lagos and Abuja and some other parts of Nigeria, and what do you consider to be the hanging fruits that we can easily latch onto and at least start the journey while trying to make the place more enabling for business? What are the hanging fruits that people, maybe medium scale or even small scale, or even people who want to invest in millions, what are the hanging fruits they can easily latch on to and start from there while we're waiting for this development that comes from all both private and public sector?
So again, great question. So if you look at it this way, right? If you go to Singapore, you had a country that was just rocks, literally just rocks and people. This is what of their prime minister: rocks, people, and rats. That was what Singapore inherited years ago, and they turned it from the rocks to a nation that is first class in everything. Everything in Singapore is now first class. What did they do? They educated the Singaporeans to become not even entrepreneurs, to become civil servants. They became the best civil servants on earth. Understand this. What Singapore did was to create a nation where if you wanted to apply for business, it could be done in hours, no corruption. If you wanted power supply, you would get it if you can pay. If you wanted to import your goods, it will come through the ports, no issues, no bribes, no government inefficiency. So when people look at Singapore, they always think that Lee Kuan Yew went and trained people, no. If you look closely, you don't see a lot of Singaporean entrepreneurs. What he did was to create well-trained, well-paid civil servants who then ran Singapore like a first-class company. You can't even chew gum and spit chewing gum on the streets of Singapore. It's a big offense. It's clean, it's functional, it works. When they built that, they attracted everybody on earth, and everybody on earth is in Singapore. Same with the Irish. The Irish, if you look back and watch your movies, the Irish were invaded by the British. They were looked at, quote unquote, as backwaters, as poor, as if you look at that movie, Game of Thrones, the Northern men, the quote unquote, the Irish guys, and I'm being just using words and figures here. You don't think of the Irish back then as the folks that can run a prosperous 21st century economy. You think of them as people that drink, red-haired, potato farmers that suffered famine. But the number one country today in Europe that has attracted investments is Ireland. All the top Google 10, the top Fortune 500 companies are registered in Ireland. They are number one in this, number one in that. Just Google Ireland. They've attracted everyone. What did Ireland do? Infrastructure and laws. So Singapore did civil servants. Ireland did infrastructure and laws. Essentially laws, fiscal laws that says if you come to Ireland, you pay very, very low taxes. So Google is in all over the world, but they are headquartered outside America in, say, Ireland. So they don't pay tax in Ireland. The point I'm making is this. Whilst Singapore did civil servants because that was their endowment, Ireland did taxes. Then Nigeria, already the Southeast, already has an entrepreneurial class. You already have people that are entrepreneurs from the get-go. The Gold Coast, the coast of Nigeria, was called the Oil Delta, not because of crude oil, but because of palm oil. Who was trading the palm oil? This was before you had slavery. Remember that slavery was a modern concept. Before you had slavery, you had people already trading with the British in palm oil in the oil delta. So it was called the palm oil protectorate and all that, because they were already trading. That's their nature. They already trade. So you don't have to invent or teach entrepreneurship to these people. They already know how to do it. Frederick Forsyth said in his book, the only place in Africa you can go to and not see Lebanese or Chinese trading is in the southeast of Nigeria. Frederick, a long time ago, because they are already, by nature or by maybe the circumstance of where they live, they are naturally curious. They like to trade, they travel, Etoile here and all that kind of stuff, So that's what they are. So if you are a government that already has these people, what do you do then? You empower them. You create the conditions for them to thrive, then you tax them. So you go and you say, I'm going to build an international airport in all the states in the southeast. I will connect the southeast to rail. I will give them port. I'll give them everything, because you know that they will grow if you allow them to trade. You don't need to do. Singapore had to do civil servant because those guys are not naturally entrepreneurs. Chinese are naturally entrepreneurship. Lebanese are naturally entrepreneurial. But in Singapore, they are not 100% Chinese. So they went for civil service. It's worked for them. Same with Ireland. They went for physical, the taxes, keep taxes low. They can't compete with the Germans to build goods. They can't compete with the English in terms of wealth. They can't compare to the French in terms of skills, so they focus on fiscal. But in Nigeria, you have people that if you give them the power to trade, they trade and they make money. Trade is the 1/3 of the pivot that keeps Nigeria's GDP afloat. You have agriculture, you have trade, you have IT. So if you simply focus on trade in that sector, they blow up, they bloom. And if you're a smart president or a smart nation, you make a lot of money from them, from tax revenues. And that's where Nigeria has got it wrong. That instead of looking at the southeast, and I'm trying to use my words very carefully, as a place that they can tax and get tax revenues, they rather try to lock it up with a key and throw away, lock it up and throw the key away. The Southeast got an international airport under Goodluck Jonathan. International airport just a few years ago. The rail in the Southeast is narrow gauge. Every other rail built in Nigeria today is standard gauge. There are no ports, inland ports, or dredging done in the Southeast and all that. There is only in the Southeast do you have a region, not state, region, without a free trade zone. There are two in the Southeast now. There is the one at the Enugu International Airport, and then there's one that is by Imo State, the Huadong, whatever, it's a Chinese name, Imo State free trade zone. Every other state in Nigeria, every state has at least one free trade zone. There are some states that have 2 or 3. Lagos has more than 7. In the entire Southeast, you have only that one in Imo. When I'm saying in quote, because that was supposed to have been in Imo, but the guys in Imo were not competent to attract the Chinese. Again, I'm not saying as it is. And the Chinese moved to Lagos. So that one was a quote-unquote free trade zone. The other one was the one that has the Enugu International Airport. There's a free trade zone there. And that's what the entire Southeast has. A region that has the largest market in Sub-Saharan Africa, Onitsha. The largest cluster for automotive trade in Africa, Nnewi, the largest SME cluster in Africa, Aba. These 3 clusters alone have no free trade zone. And that's where, if you go into your question now, what are the low-hanging fruits? Create the infrastructure, allow the people to thrive. That's all. There's no low-hanging fruit. Just build the infrastructure and step out the way. Build the 10-rail road, build the market, or just pass. They don't even need to build anything. Pass the laws and get out of the way. And then they will build everything by themselves. Onitsha, go to Onitsha. Onitsha is Hong Kong, built 100% without federal or even state money. Just do an aerial view of Onitsha. Very soon, they will start to demolish those 4 or 5 apartment complexes. They're going to start to build skyscrapers on Onitsha. Once one person starts, they will build a 15-foot skyscraper. Once the first one is built, everything in Onitsha will be demolished and it will now be 15-story skyscrapers, just like you have in Hong Kong. It will be exactly what you have. But Hong Kong has got a river port. Then someone's going to do barges. The largest inland port in Germany, Duisburg, in Europe, almost Duisburg. You have an inland port on Onitsha, but it's not being used. So I'm trying to answer your question directly to say that there are no low-hanging fruit. The main issue is that you are putting a lid on boiling water. Just take the lid off the boiling water. Let the steam go as it may. The economic steam, I mean.
Wow. What I'm thinking is this, but I'm going to pass it to Casey after I'm saying what I'm going to say now. It looks like there is everything is still going back to what the people in charge of governance, in charge of the states in the Southeast have to do. But I would like to bring you back to this in a way that we can narrow it down to what the individuals can do individually or collectively that doesn't necessarily require direct support of the government. But Casey, let me let Casey chip in, then I'll come back to that. Or do you want to answer that now?
Sure. Let me give you a data point. In 2016, United Nations UNDP said that the Southeast was the safest place to live in Nigeria. So I don't know when the gunmen started. The one thing I think that the Southeast people can do, this is just there are other things they can do, but the one thing they must do is to stop allowing the Southeast to be used as a place to settle. You don't want to allow the Southeast to become a place where non-state actors, where they are good, where they are bad, call the shots. Nobody can shut down Hong Kong on any day, or can shut down Taiwan, or can shut down Gwangju. Nobody. So you don't want to allow that. We must say trade, which is we've agreed that the endowment of the Southeast is trading. And trading is 30% of Nigeria's GDP. You don't take 30% of anything and shut it down. You don't. But we'll come back to that later. I'll take a question from Casey now.
All right. Casey, take it from here.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Some of the submissions, I just negenti. A lot of the things you're saying make so much sense. And just like Chuka said, some things you pointed out, the tie to the infrastructural amenities they're lacking. And a lot of that, the average individual does not have the capability to provide those things. So as a people, as an individual investor, when you go try invest, you got yourself. What do I do with this money? Where should I put this money, essentially? Earlier, when you mentioned the fact that, I think in summary, when you look at Nigeria, broadly speaking, the Southeast is the lesser evil out of all of the options anyway. So as a result, if you want to invest, go to the Southeast. It's a very promising and feasible location for you to invest your money, just based on what the statistics say, judging from poverty alone. And that'll make a lot of sense. But then every investment now they're forward looking. Every investment whatsoever. So in that context too, I tell you, man, what is it looking like for the Southeast? Itiego, you say, yeah, things are bad now, broadly speaking. Is it gonna get worse? Or here the average investor, Choyema, a lot of Nigerians sitting on a diaspora, Akulu, they're thinking of bringing money home, actually here in the Southeast. But what is it? What does it look like going forward? Just to give you some example, I'm a net things mostly from an economic perspective because all my area, but net things from an economic perspective, where does it provide? Where provides a better economic market for investment? In the last 17 years or thereabout, in population growth, which obviously would demand, you can't find any. The only eastern state in there about Anambra State in the top 10. The only eastern states, most of them obviously, some of them are not, Kano, Lagos, and a couple of other places. But obviously, population alone are brought by migration. Some of that was as a result of birth rates. But it all boils down to economic demand, demand. And people are what does the return look like for my investment? So relate here to the Southeast and then forward looking, how does things look like from this invest they gonna Southeast? Sorry, now the eastern side of Nigeria. Go ahead.
Look at it this way, right? Any problem is an opportunity. Any problem. And in economics, we say where two or three are gathered, there's a market. So the Southeast has a market. And you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just go across the shores, go to Lagos, copy, bring it in and do it. There's a guy in Navy now building the largest cinema. I think it's going to be the largest cinema in Africa or whatever. He's in Navy. He's building in Navy. Innocent and the rest are in Nnewi building and exporting. You want to tap the natural advantage that the Southeast gives you. That's what you want to do. If Abia State is serious and there's going to be power supply from geometric, that's going to be constant. It will cost more, but it will be constant. That's another big advantage for you. That means that I can do a call center in Abia and go and market to some banks in Lagos and say, okay, I can do call center for you from Abia, even market to some US firms across, because I have call center, I have 24-hour power. Same thing with manufacturing, same thing with SMEs. The point is this: the Southeast is kind of a small, it's a small place that you want to connect with infrastructure and credit. If you say you have money, what you do with it? Be a money lender. Lots of Nigerians want cash. They know where to invest, but they can't go to the banks because they are going to borrow from the banks at high rates. So get together, get 3 or 4 of your friends, come together, and start something informal to say, okay, we're going to do a private PE. When I mean PE, don't make it too complicated. What is the idea? Okay, how much do you, what is your annual or your monthly or your weekly? What do you need to do this trade? Oh, I need $1 million every 6 months or every 3 months. Okay, we would finance it for you at 15% and you pay us back. But you need to have people you can trust, people that can run this for you. When I was in Nigeria, I went to the market and I was asking, I would go to a shoe guy. Where do you get your shoes from? Oh, my friend overseas will get these shoes, put in a container and send to me. How much do you pay him? Whenever he comes, I pay him whatever I can. I go to the bank, I borrow 4 million and I give to the guy. The guy will import container for me for 4 million. What do you pay in interest? 20-25%. I try to, when I bring the container in, I try to sell it immediately so I can pay the bank back. If I don't pay the bank back, I lose my money. This is what the guy is saying. If that guy got the same 20%, but at 6 months interest, he wins, the investors win, Nigeria also wins. There are lots of people in the Southeast looking for capital to invest, but lots of people abroad have capital but are looking for, should we say, established business to invest. Building homes is no longer an investment. There is no return in building a home and renting out. Calculate the rental yield. You buy land, you build the land, what is the rent? It's no longer really a good investment unless you are building 1-2 bedrooms or you are doing short leases. Then you can say you are turning your money around. So you've got, especially if you're abroad, you've got to get into this game, get your fingers dirty and say you want to finance or fund local business in Nigeria, because the banks are charging nearly 30%. If you're coming with 10 to 15% with a structure and a framework that you can lend money and get the money back, you're going to make money. Again, I'm not saying you should do something formal. You need a formal license to lend anybody money. I am saying you should go partner with the guys already doing this. There are people that do informal lending already in Nigeria. There are folks that are also building private enterprise in Nigeria. Go and invest in them. That guy that is building that mall in Nnewi, he's not doing it with bank loans, right? There are many folks that are doing things in the Southeast. You don't have to go far. Just copy what Lagos has done, bring it back to the Southeast. It's a veritable place that you can invest. As last point, we must stop this thing of saying Imo is this political party, Abia is that political party. It doesn't matter anymore. Right now, try to build a regional economy whereby you can move your goods from this state to that state and make your money. Think of the Southeast as the Southeast Asia. You've got to manufacture and export, or manufacture from the Southeast and export even to Nigeria. Nigeria has got a big issue with power supply, but you've got gas in Imo State. You've got a geometric in Abia State. How can you take advantage of this? If you can't do the small things, do the big things. If you can't do the big things, partner and do what can work in your village. Canada, lots of Nigerians are in Canada. they want Nigerian food. Get organized, get the proper packaging materials, get your vegetable, package it, put it in carton, take it to the plains. The plains are leaving Enugu, they're leaving Lagos, they're leaving Abuja empty. Export your vegetables or your yams to Canada. Get involved. You can't do it alone if you don't know how to, but people know what to do. Yeah, I want you to also invite a guy. I'll send you a name to it. We're going to invite a guy for your space. He will tell you he's growing dwarf palms, he's growing papaya in the southeast with investors. He can't meet demand. In the southeast there, he's growing to invest. So bring him also to your space. He has more of the technical expertise on what brand of papaya, what land acreage you need and all that. So agriculture, post-agricultural processing, just take cassava, which is everywhere in the southeast. The Chinese want ethanol. Nigerians cannot supply enough ethanol to China. But if you go to every village, you see cassava in the ground because it cannot be harvested. You know why? Because of the cyanide. If you have a cassava processing plant that will turn that cassava in the ground to just powdered cassava or high quality cassava flour, that alone, you are creating jobs, you are creating exportable income, you are taking advantage of the natural attributes that are in the southeast. Something as simple as that. There's a machine sold by the Dutch guys. What's it? Datco, DATCO. It's a container. You bring it to the local government. You put cassava at one end. It can give you high quality flour at the other end, or just cassava paste at one end. It used to cost back then 4 million naira. I'm not sure how much it costs now. DATCO, Datco. I'll try to put a link for you guys. That machine, if you bring that machine to the southeast, where do you lose money? Tell me how you lose money with that machine. Cassava. The market women bring cassava, you put it in there, you give them cassava paste. That means they can store the cassava. You can even buy the cassava from them, convert that cassava to cassava ethanol or high quality cassava and export, because you have the capital, you have the connections. They want to give you their cassava and you pay them. Same thing, soybeans. The largest export now is cashew nuts. Then you have cocoa. Cocoa is also now being grown in Akwa Ibom, also in the southeast. So if you've got the money, don't do it yourself because you don't know anything about agriculture. Partner with people that know and become the financial partner. What do you need to do? You will come in with the money and you will invest. Rural agriculture, post-processing. That's your opportunity right now in Nigeria. Thanks.
Wow. I love this. I like how you took it to that direction, because there is no way we can discuss economy in Ala Igbo without touching agriculture. We are actually going to expand that conversation very soon. Not today, not tonight, but we're going to expand that conversation. But in the meantime, I would just want to say this. If you are unable to join the speakers corner or whatever, you can feel free to just go to the comment section and just type your question there. That's all we're looking for. We just want to attack this conversation, manage our time, deal with as many issues as we can while we're here, because this is probably the only time we're going to talk about this in this context in the next few months, because anyway, so many things I cover. So quickly, just type your questions and we'll respond, or we'll take it to Kalu, then Kalu will respond. Let me bring in another question here. This is a sensitive question, but it touches what you're talking about. There is a level of trust deficit in Nigeria, but peculiar to us in Nigeria because of hardship. Where there is sustained hardship, people begin to look for other ways, whether legit or not, to get ahead. So go over time, due to experiences in the Madumwego, go trust deficits. And when someone is trying to invest, he's also thinking, how do I ensure that my investment is secure? How do I ensure that whatever we agree to do in this business partnership, I'm going to get my own? This guy is not going to cheat on me. He's not going to run away with my money. He's not going to play some funny games and tell me all kinds of stories. I don't know if most of the people who are looking at investing understand how to go about it to make sure that their investment is secure. What process, what procedure should they take to make sure that they are going about this the right way?
I think the problem is that there's very, very few professionals that you can find in Nigeria. I explain, I have friends that are from Philippines, and lots of them are in America. And when they want to go back home, they have these companies that are in the Philippines that you can pay money to here in America. And those guys will build you a house in the Philippines. They are organized. It's a company. They can't run away. You pay for the house you want. They go to the place and they build it for you. You pay in dollars. It's organized. They are organized. They know what they are doing. Same with the guys in Taiwan. They have all that. What we are missing in Nigeria is this professionalism, where you have a company that can do this for you. Lots of folks that you see in Nigeria are looking for the money. Once they get the money, then they don't care about the service. So imagine if you were a company and that was just what you did. The diaspora will give you money. You go to their village and you build them a home. You charge them extra. Most people will pay. They don't want to send money to their uncle to build a house for them. They just want you to build it for them. Most people will pay. That's the business opportunity right there. Or you are what we call a fact checker. You have a company where your job is to go and verify claims. So someone says, I gave my uncle to build money to build a house. My uncle said he built me a house. Go and verify it for me. Those guys will go there and verify that, yes, this house is being built. This is the picture, or this is the title. How we have in America, title companies. That's also another business opportunity. We've not built the infrastructure, not just in the Southeast, but across Nigeria for business. You can go online in America, look at a house. It will tell you who bought the house, who owns the house, when the house was fixed, when the roof was changed. It will tell you all that. That's under business opportunity. Nigerians will pay for a service that they can go to a geographical plot, put the GPS, and to tell them if that land is registered in the state for building or for agriculture or for anything. Nigerians would pay for that. These are three opportunities that are given to you. We are focusing on the surface investment, but nobody's going beyond that surface to build out the infrastructure, the pipes, the plumbing of a real diaspora investment. Diaspora want to send money home. They don't have time to chase anybody. They don't have the time. But if someone could take that off them, the person would win. And once one person starts, everybody's going to become organized and serious, and it will now become, this is how we're supposed to be. We have a lot of quote unquote charlatans, a lot of, like I said, fraudsters that are around. And you don't remove fraudsters by prayer. You take away fraudsters by processes, procedures, and all that. So it goes away. You want to build a house, okay, fine. This guy will sign up, he'll verify. So your uncle knows he can't run away with your money because he's going to be checked every step of the way. And there are companies that do that at the big level. SGS does that. So get a local guy and say, okay, in anybody building a house in the Sekwatu local government area, send me your information. I will do independent verification. I'll take a picture, I'll take a video, I'll make sure they pay the local government. That's a business plan that any diaspora will pay you for. So we can't use emotions for business. We use business process to solve business problems. So many of you have friends back home in Nigeria. They're educated, they don't have a job. Sell one of these jobs to them. Set up an office. Advertise it in local government area. Say, if you want to build a home, send me your information. We will track it for you. People will pay. Or I know a guy that does it personally. He will give you plans. He will build a home for you in your village. But you need to scale. The problem is scaling. You can have a good idea, but can you scale that idea to do it in the second local government, in the third local government? The answer is yes. But you need to understand business, not the buying and selling, but the how to run an office, where files should go to, how you should process things. Education in Nigeria has failed. So with what we take for granted is now affecting us. If you go to the States here, you go to an office, you see those women that are secretaries, they are trained secretaries. They know how to file, they know how to type a letter, they know how to write a letter of content. But if you come to Nigeria, you hire your cousin as a receptionist. She's just sitting there answering the phone call. So she can't really do that business value addition. And that's what we need to build at. That's what those colleagues are supposed to do in Nigeria, to create the plumbing around business so business can thrive. Without having that, it's difficult to grow, but it's an opportunity. Every problem is an opportunity. If you have a cousin, he's going to university, he's doing nothing, buy him a car, fund an office for him, and say, why don't you do this? Let him start from there, and then take it from there. So that's how I'll put it, sir.
Beautiful, beautiful. I saw what you did there, and that's very important. Our business practice needs to be rejigged, need to tweak it, because if I am mad, I walk well. And like you said, professionalism is very important. And I'm sure there are people here listening to this conversation who can see the opportunity clearly, and if they can latch onto it. Yeah.
Don't mind quick one, yeah. Social and welfare remittances in Nigeria are about 25 billion. That we can count to dollars.
Wow.
Social and welfare remittances. That means that I'm sending Mama Emeka is getting money from Emeka in Houston. He sent it through Western Union or through a bank, and we can count it. That's about 25 billion. India is doing 110 billion. Pakistan, all these countries. Do you know that Gambia per capita does more remittances than Nigeria? You know, we can get 25 billion, but with Gambia's population, they are doing more than any country in Africa. Gambia, small Gambia. We need to make, again, under opportunity, any city you go to in America, there are Igbos there. Why have the Southeast governors or a Southeast governor not gone to the US? There are all these small banks, they call them credit unions or whatever. You can even register one. Partner with them and tell the Nigerian diaspora, if you want to send money home, go to that bank and put the money there. They put the money in that small credit union in Houston. The money is not being transferred. So you don't need money transfer license. The money sits there in dollars. Abia state government or whoever the investors are will give the naira to the Nigerian person here. So what have you created? Abia has now created an account in the US in dollars owned by the Abia state government. How is Abia state government paying back its FARC money in naira? No money is being transferred though. So you can't hold Abia government for license. You can't hold them that they are doing money laundering. No, the money is sitting in the US, in that bank, small bank in the US. But Abia is paying the naira here. So what does Abia do with that dollars? Abia says, if you want to export and you are going to put your head office or your manufacturing office or your whatever office in Abia, we will give you dollar loan at 5%. What's the interest in America today? 1%, 2%. Abia is getting the money free of charge in America because remittances dollars is in America here. They give it to a loan. If you are going to set up office in Abia or whatever office in Abia, you get a dollar loan for 5%. They don't give you the money, they will pay for the imports. So when you raise LC, you go to Abia, you give them your LC. Abia will fax that LC to their office in America. The American company owned by Abia's there will send the FC, will pay the dollars to your bank in America. Again, dollars has not traveled though. To America, Nigeria to Nigeria. You get your goods, you pay Abia in naira for dollar goods. You have created an advantage that that any other state cannot copy. Even a state that does the exact same thing cannot copy because they don't have the diaspora that you have. So you're using your unique attributes in the Southeast to grow the Southeast. They can't copy because they also need a diaspora to copy you. And this is the point I'm making. You go from social welfare to a business. You hire people that know what they are doing. You don't go and hire your cousin you hire people that know what they are doing to run this. You create a fund. The South, and imagine if all the Southeast states did it. They just used their FARC. They appointed a private sector company to do this, and they bought a bank in Atlanta, in Houston, everywhere in America. They own 50 banks across every county in America. Those banks in these counties they would welcome that investment. So if I want to send dollars, I put $1,000 in the bank of whatever in America here. That's it. They will welcome it. And you create a fund for the Southeast in dollars abroad. Then those Southeast dollars are then used to fund a dollar infrastructure impact bond to connect the entire Southeast by road rail across the board. You have in one policy changed remittances, funded your infrastructure, brought professionalism to that trade. The Chinese will be begging you to do business with them. So we have to change the level of our thinking. We have to go beyond this oil money. That's nonsense. India is doing 100 billion, 110 billion remittances. I cannot $25, whatever. Oil money can't go anywhere in Nigeria. It can't go anywhere because we are too many. You've got to come down to the individual families, educate them, equip them for growth. That's what you need to do.
Oh, great. Thank you. Casey, chime in, please.
Nah. When you pen and paper and then ideas. So we need to be writing down some of these things, especially some of the things you could go in the past, because behind here and there, we're having a discussion. We're also collaborating. Business ideas now put as a result of it. None of the sharp. Take down some of these ideas, then get it practical, the ones you can implement, do within your capital reach and things like that. But here, I think you've alluded to some of it. But in our often times, in high Ndi Igbo, other compete and I now collaborate, and it seems fair. Seems like it. Media and trade, Bob and I make business. We collaborate a lot. Madu batana business on Igbo. So hey, na hencho obugodu na enwere o sige hey ka nje weti ordinary office ordinary branch nka ojenatia 1 year bịaresi. We collaborate, and because of that we all become successful as a result. But oftentimes in our things like that, especially most people not in diaspora, oftentimes in our some investment opportunities. I'll give you a quick example. In India, Hanaro in a place actually goes something like an investment, a franchise, or maybe Igwe Nuku or things like that. They come together and put resources together and do it. You find things like that do not hardly ever exist amongst our people. Some of it might be trust, the lack of trust. Some of it might be other reasons, our personal interest in care and things like that. And then when you take it further in the business environment, sometimes and then when some selfishness and less collaboration, or when ideas we collaborate here together to achieve some of these ideas that you pointed out, some of these business ideas. And when things like, for me personally, I feel each you want to bring back some money to invest at home, and when so many opportunities. For me, I feel a lot of the things propel any geographic environment, but things like education, industries and agriculture, those things are very key and very important. So for an investor now, but okay, there's some of those things around, but then he doesn't have enough capital. He doesn't have the trust. There are certain factors limiting that need to invest back home. How can we as a people collaborate more together to be able to achieve some of these things that we cannot individually do by ourselves?
Yeah, so again, the point I'm trying to make across is that the individual investment is not as important as the structure around which you want to trade. You mentioned the Indians. I had a space with Indians a long time ago. When Idi Amin drove the Indians out of Uganda, some went to Canada, some went to the US. When they got to the US, I believe the US government gave each family $10,000 as a grant. As you take $10,000 for each family. You know what the Indians did? They would form 5 families, would form a company, 5, 8, whatever. And that company would then go buy a motel. Why a motel? Because they had to stay somewhere. So they bought a motel, they lived in a motel, their kids worked in the motels, right? And then what would they do? Next year, that company, that motel, would sponsor one family via bank loan to buy another motel. So they used one motel to buy the second motel. So that family moves there. Next year, the third family, So if you notice, in 5 years, they all had motels. And why stop there? They continued buying motels. Same thing with filling stations. They bought filling stations. Next year, they buy filling stations and all that. Let me tell you something. Do this. If you live abroad, Canada or the US, do this. You have to post the name of the company that owns the motel or filling station. Go and look at the name of the company that owns the filling station or the motel or the U-Haul in your state. You see the name Patel. Patel is the name of like a family. It's not one family. It's just how that same model was used across America by different Indian groups. They call it Patel. That's even what they call it now. Indians today are the richest nationality in the US. Indians as a people are the richest, richer than the whites. Next is the Vietnamese or the Taiwanese. Next are the Filipinos and all that. These three guys have the same thing in common. This coming together to maximize, to turn 1 + 1 into 11, not 2. So the structure is more important than the idea. Same with the Chinese. When the Chinese come together, they have their way of going to don't invest, they pool money together and they borrow from their own community, not from the bank, from their own community. So the point is, Igbos are already in Canada, in Germany, in the US, but you have subunits. You have one Igbo guy in Duisburg doing something. You have another guy in England doing something. Why don't you come together? You don't have to come as an individual. See, get a structure and you say, I don't know anything about business, but I have $10,000. I will put it in this fund. That guy says, I'm importing spare parts from Germany to Nigeria. I need $10,000. That's a marriage there. But it has to be under a process or a structure that can protect my rights to get my return, and I can sue you if not, I don't get my return. So the US already has those protections. But you go to the US, get an SPV, instead of having town union meeting. In America, they say, we're going for a town union meeting. I go there, we're eating, we wear kente, we laugh, we eat jollof fries, pounded yam, everybody takes picture, we go home. Where is the SPV for the Igbos that want to invest? Don't know anything about investing. I'm a doctor. But in my hospital in America, they are giving away the x-ray machines because they're now out of use. They want to give away the x-ray machines that are working perfectly. So I can take those x-ray machines and send them to my factory or whatever in Lagos. Where is the place where we can talk about this? Or I have $10,000. It's in my bank account. I don't need it. I want to go to Nigeria. Where can I go and talk about this? And you don't have to just have the structure to talk about it. You'll see ideas. So if every town union, in every age grade in America, in Canada, in America, must have a business forum where you guys come together on a particular day and you are talking business. Once you start to do that, the Nigerian guys will come to you and say, we heard you guys are doing this. Okay, we want to give you proposals. So even if you want to have Shark Tank, do Shark Tank. Let them create their own industries and come and present to you. They can present to you via Zoom. They present to you and say, this is the idea we have in what we want to do in the Southeast. We want funds or we want capital. Oh, we have a social impact school. We have a school here. We need projectors. We need computers. Does any of you know a school in America that is getting rid of their old books or getting rid of their solar panel that can send these things to the Southeast? That's what you need to do. Then each of these individual trade unions have got to be connected. You have Igbos working in Amazon, in Twitter, in Facebook, in Google. Build a super highway of information where everybody can say, this is what I need. Just like you have MMM, that fraudulent company. Give help, accept help. Build a real one. So you are in Abia State, you want to innovate your school, you are looking for 5 computers, you post it there. They verify that you are real, it's posted there. I am from Anambra, my mother is from Abia, right? I have in my company, we've changed from flat screen to big screen because of green, whatever. We have computers that we're going to throw into a dump site. I will take those computers, send them to Abia State. Who will pay the cost of the financing? Someone can say, hey, I will pay for it as a contributor, as my philanthropy. I contribute to that company, to that entity that is registered with the IRS as a profit company, get tax-free status. So I contribute, IRS gives me tax-free status. I move computers from America to Abia. Abia gets computers. I get tax-free status. The company has a way to get rid of its old computers. We are winning. But it's not the idea that is as important as the structure. Create the structure. This is not an impossible thing to do. Create Facebook, but for business ideas, like a Kickstarter Facebook Igbo thing. And you don't have to make it Igbo. Make it everyone else to join. Each union must have an economic forum. Each one. And when you're talking, talk amongst yourselves. That's why Indians can send 110 billion home. Chinese can send 110 billion home. And we're not. In China, they have something called 1001 talent. I think it's 1,000 talents, which means the Chinese government, if you work in America and you are willing to return home to invest in China with your knowledge, China has money, they want your knowledge. The Chinese government will bring you back home and set you up. There are many doctors in America that are Igbo, that are tired, they are old, they've relaxed, they want to come back home. The Igbo governors, the Southeast governors should be able to say, come home, sir, we'll give you land, we'll give you the money, we'll build a hospital for you, you become the academic director and train people under you, sir. Come home and do that. You are the health guy in New York Department of Health. Come home, come and become the advisor to the Abia Department of Health. It's free labor. Those guys don't need your money, but they want to come home in a place that is safe. They won't be kidnapped, and they can do consulting for free for you. Take advantage of your unique attributes. Build the structure. The economy to take care of itself. Don't worry about where to invest. Build how you can invest. When Mark Zuckerberg started Facebook, he didn't know today he would buy Instagram. He simply started Facebook. The rest will happen by itself. Thanks.
Oh, great. This is great. I'm enjoying this. I don't know about you guys. I'm enjoying this so much that I'm going to come back to listen to this. In fact, I'm going to share this to people I know so they can actually benefit, because this is too small a room to get all of this information like the way it's compressed, and everybody can understand what it's saying clearly. Please, if you're enjoying this conversation, share the space on your DP, on your DM, on your WhatsApp. Let people who are in touch with you know what's going on, because we're still here at least for the next 1 hour plus or 2 hours. So tell people you know. Also tweet it on your timeline. Let people following you see what's going on here so they can come and join the conversation, so we can expand the audience, because we don't have to be greedy. Yeah. Anyway, Nello, take it off from me. All right. I think we should move to the speakers, the people on the speakers corner. Let's hear your question. If you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Hello?
Loud and clear.
Okay. Yeah, Dalu. Yeah, Kalu, Dalu. I mean, you are a man that I am proud of, even if I disagree with some of your views. But I mean,
Biko, you have 60 seconds to ask your question. Oh.
Yes, yeah, I know. So, now, the question usually, Joe, is that Ohaneze has created an initiative of sorts that will encourage ndị be anyị bi obodo oyibo imeki investments na Igbo, tangible investments. And a lot of work went into that particular initiative. It would create a multinational company, essentially owned by Igbo people, controlled by Igbo people, and all the investments will be in Igbo land. Multiple things can be true. We can be doing any valid. Okay, but do you have any information or idea on this initiative Ohaneze has been pushing for? I have forgotten the name, but yeah, Dado, thank you.
Yeah, so let me just, again, I hope it's not going to be controversial. I wouldn't do anything with Ohaneze. They are too politically conflated to achieve a level of wide acceptability. I think they are doing too many things. They are a political group. They want to get a president. So whenever they talk, they'll be looked at as political, and many Nigerians or many diaspora don't want to be involved in that. They can create and they can sponsor a new economic front, and that's a thing I think you should do. Listen, let's move on, right? We've talked about the attributes, and it is clear and factual. We've shown what other nations can do. They look at what the Lebanese are doing. Look at what the Koreans are doing. Look at the Chinese, even the what's it called, Kim Kardashian people. What's her name? From Armenians. Look at what the Armenians are doing. We are no different from them. We have unique attributes. We are entrepreneurial. We are across the world, and we have shown that on individual level we can do things. What we need now is to create the foundation, the structure to move ahead. I think Ohaneze is not the right body to move this forward, right? Odua in the Southwest is a very, very good organization because they came out initially and they said, listen, we're going to do economics or we're going to do business, and that's what they've been doing. So Odua, you know how they separated it from the politicals of the Southwest? Perfect. The North had NDDC, Northern Nigerian Development Commission, or whatever the name before, I forgot the name, that they were just doing economic development. If you read the economic plan in North Nigeria, it's far superior to what the Southeast and even the Southwest had. This was a plan written to them by the British to do. They started it under Samuel Bello, but they lost their way. That's why they are where they are today. Listen, you have a quote-unquote Igbo woman as the trade person in the entire world. You have Igbo folks in Canada on the cabinet. You have lots of Igbo entrepreneurs across the world. You can't bring these people in and say, sit under Ohaneze. They will be looked at as political tribal. Create an SPV. It doesn't matter if they're Igbos. Bring in anyone that wants to join. But you say your focus is to invest in this. If I'm Yoruba and I want to invest, bring me on and create a structure that can attract investments, do research, and give me comfort, safe harbor. I put my money in and buying shares of that entity can invest in the Southeast and make money and return back to me. That's what you want. Creating that is national, has no appendages, has no adoptions, that can borrow money, can have its own name. You get where I'm going to? And then leave it just work by itself. But there are too many politicals that you don't bring into this any structure. If you do it that way, it will work better for you.
Wonderful answer. I think that takes care of something that we have been silent about for some time now. We can't wait for one particular group to do everything for us. Some of the things that we're expecting people to do for us, we can organize ourselves and actually get it done. I mean, this is our time. These guys, most of them are actually in their old age. We can't expect them to do all the things that we should do for ourselves. So I think it's time for us to dig in and begin to organize ourselves and put some structure and some framework on ground that will help us to do our investments, because we're the ones that are investing now. And then they can benefit from that. I mean, that's the benefit of having trained us in school, sent some of us abroad to go work and gain experience and exposure. So it's our turn, actually. Okay, let's go to the next person. Let's hear from Great Learning. Well,
hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Yes. Okay.
I'll speak in English. My submission might look like complaints because what I think the Southeast needs, like let me just use Ala Igbo needs now is.
Sorry. Do you want to ask a question?
I want to know how to tackle my own submission is like a complaint, but that's why I think that's what's pulling people up from the Southeast, like livability. Like let me use Anambra as an example. When you go to the capital, Onitsha, the place doesn't look appealing. I can't see myself living there because the whole environment is just the lack of organization. There's trading everywhere. In fact, it's like there's no government in the whole states. So a lot of these things contribute to why people invest in other states. It's not that people don't want there. When you go to the capital, have you been to the capital of Anambra State? People, when you go there, I'm from a neighboring town there. Amobia town. But when I go there, the whole place is disorganized. I say, how is this a capital city? Because despite the trade in the States, everything is just screwed. Everything is unorganized. When you go to the main market there, there's no organization. There was one I was reading about, is it Ghana?
Hold on, please. I want to extract a question from you so that Carlo can respond, because that's what we're doing now. So if you have a way of turning this into a question so that you can gain something from it. We're not trying to just rant. We're trying to actually look for...
It looks like a rant, but it's just a question. I'm trying to say, how do you get the governors to do the right thing? Because I've seen Nairobi, even the Ghana, what's the name of the second city? I've seen what they have done to their markets. They upgraded. There's one of the market they upgraded in. What's the name of their second city after Accra? There's a market they built there.
Kumasi, right?
Yes. I saw the central market there. When I saw the central market, I was wondering, why can't we do this in this Onitsha main market there? And I even follow a lot of, skyscraper city. I follow their development in Poland. I've seen what they have done. I saw where Poland was in 1991. I've seen where they have gone. I just wonder whether there's something wrong with us or something. I just don't know why we can't organize ourselves. I don't know how we hold the governors accountable, because the governors, they'll just go there, do everything they want. They'll just move out. It's like they don't care about living there. It's like we're letting governors that will just come there, embezzle the money and just leave. How do you hold the governors accountable to do the right things, to make the infrastructure to look up to global standard? Because I just don't understand. It's like they're just doing everything in a crude way.
Carlo, I guess you understand his question. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That definition is just like...
All right. I think Carlo will respond to your question.
Yeah, it's a very valid question, because there's what they call perception and branding. If I was a foreigner, my boss told me a story. My boss, I worked with a guy that was a global investment banker. He said once there was an American father-son. These guys managed billions, and they came to Nigeria because they had read data that Nigerian market was booming. It was a best performing stock in the entire world. So the father and the son flew into Lagos to talk to Nigerian investment bankers. At the airport, the father collapsed and nearly died because there was no power for the air conditioning set. So the father, like the Warren Buffett kind guy, collapsed at the airport. They had to rent a private jet and fly the guy immediately back to the US. The son supposedly said, "Fuck Alpha," which means, oh my God, did I say that? I apologize. Essentially, forget about the high returns. The high returns don't mean anything if investors cannot come. That's what the gentleman is saying. You've got to create an environment that people want to sit there and invest, because when you stay in a place, you are spending. And if you are spending, you are growing GDP. Look at Abia State. Have you seen the before and after pictures of some roads in Abia State? You can't believe it. There are some roads in Abia that look like jungles with a pond, not like a pothole, like a river. This is a state, a river. The last time I was in Abia millions of years ago, I couldn't come out of the car because it was too dirty. I couldn't come out of the car. Now you see Abia with clean roads. They are bulldozing rubbish. They are fixing the place. Where everyone's talking about Abia, everybody is talking about small, tiny Abia today in Nigeria, because the government is just doing roads that a local government guy could have done in Nigeria, but he's doing just that, and look at what he's getting. So the gentleman is quite right. You can't just walk. You've got to show walkings. Look at Dubai. When we land there, we like it. So that's why we go back with our family. Look at what Cross River had to do with Tinapa and also with the carnival. You could not get a hotel in all of December in Cross River. Even the homes, before there was Airbnb, the people in Calabar would leave their homes, rent it out. You had to paint your house, and they will sell their chicken, their water in front of their house. So in December, the people of Calabar made a lot of money just because of carnival. That alone. And why were people coming to Calabar? It was safe. It was clean. And you go there once, you go back again, then you go back the third time. America, everyone goes to Nevada. Nevada is a desert, but people are living there now, right? So Florida is a mosquito-infested swamp, but people are living there today. So you've got to clean the place up and have it has to look nice, because you want people to come to your place and stay. Why would I take my kids from America and go to a place where I'm scared of walking on the street with them? Then what's the point of the large population in the Southeast if American Nigerian children cannot walk with their parents on the street of Aba? Then what are we doing? So he has a good point, and I hope the governors also understand that aesthetics is part of the package of investment. Thank you.
Thank you for that response, Kalu. Casey, are you ready?
Yeah, Kalu, thank you so much. It could go so many important things here. Achom ka I know everybody. If you can write down some of the ideas, I'll highlight. There's been a few, but just in summary, one of the key things that really stood out is that we need a hub that brings ideas and investors, especially specific to Ndi Igbo. It's very important, and we need it, because everybody can connect, everybody ideas give me opportunities, and then the magic happens. Another business idea you highlightable, for example, there's a lot of people, especially in the non-diaspora. You send money back home to your uncles, your aunties, building this hotel and car, different investments. Can somebody create a company? Get where the duty, check some of those investments. Hey, yeah, I go roof. Things are going as planned. Hey, I just go check and car. Things are going as planned. Those are problems you need these solutions. So it's really important, in all of these conversations, can I highlight some of these opportunities these ideas my question, actually, I did not very, very practical now on an individual level, very direct. A very young man or young lady, whatever the situation be, on where you go, or on a diaspora or wherever, maybe I buy 5 million or maybe 10 million naira, but on a sizable amount or try invest here. Care caution again here, care directions again here. What are the things you need to look out for? What are the things you need to be aware of? Each invested that money in Nigeria. Just did not very direct. They got it ready, you're in a bank account. How much has he made the next step? Okay, some of the ideas he will keep in points, and some of the cautions he will keep near the person. Come, okay, these are the things I need to look out for before me this investment. Thank you.
Okay, good question. So the first thing I'll say is this: if you are not going to live in Nigeria or work in Nigeria, then do not invest in any investment that requires you to live and work in Nigeria. Which means if I'm in America, I should never invest in a restaurant or nightclub, because I'm not there. I can lend the person money and the person will pay me back. But that I should invest in that business and I'm not there, no. Because if you're not there, even if you have someone like we're talking about managing it for you, the person we're talking about is just going to look and see if a roof has been built, if tiles have been put there, but he's not going to be the one reading the books for you. So if you're a diaspora guy, you don't need a headache. If you're not going to be there, don't invest in any business you're not going to be there. Lend them money so you can do debt financing, but equity is a stretch. I don't care if it's your brother. It's a stretch. Number two, if you take that out of the picture, then what should that Nigerian invest in? Nigerian fixed income securities are offering very, very high returns. If you go to a Nigerian bank today, there are dollar investments, legal dollar investment that you can invest, and they pay you nearly 4-5%. FCMB has a dollar fund. I think it's IBTC has a dollar fund. I believe it's they call them is it Investus? They are Afri Invest. They also have a dollar fund. I think UBA also have something like that. I'm not sure. But this is that in Nigeria, you can invest dollars in Nigeria and get a dollar return. So in America, dollar savings don't pay you anything. They pay you 1% and all that. It's only when you do a certificate of deposit abroad that you get a higher rate of return. But even those certificate of deposits are maybe for 6 months or for 7 months and all that. Yes, you can get higher ones, but overall it's shorter term and it's guaranteed. But in Nigeria, that's where if I'm chasing returns, that's where I'll go to the debt market because I'm getting a guaranteed return from that. If I want to take more risk, I can consider putting my money in equities. In Nigeria today, equities are about 36%. That's the index. If I bought all the shares in Nigeria, I will make about 36%. That means I'll lose some, I'll gain some, but I'll get 36%. Inflation in Nigeria is about 33%. So equities in Nigeria currently are beating inflation. I'll be very careful about property in Nigeria. The problem is that land in Nigeria is very expensive. So when you buy property in Nigeria and you want to build a house, if it's to rent out, you can do that, but you're not going to make money from that. The yield for rental in Nigeria is very low because the cost of buying the land and building is very, very high. So it's not a question of if you can build a home, you can. But if you build a house for 100 million and you are collecting rent of how much? 2 million, that's 2% rent. If the house cannot pay you 10%, there's no point doing it because you can take that money and put federal government bond and get 10% in Naira. So there's no point building a house if the house will not give you rental yield of 10%. I'm not talking about the property appreciation. I'm talking about the rental. So if you build a house for 100 million, it must pay you every year minimum 10 million in rent. If it's not paying you 10 million in rent, there's no point. The only property you might consider doing is if you have property or you want to buy existing property and convert it to short-term let. So like a hotel, people come in from diaspora, they can live there 1 month, 2 months, they go. So you are increasing the size of the interactions with customers to increase your revenues. Now, you're not buying the house to rent out to one tenant who will pay you once a year. No, rather you are saying in that 1 year, you have 5 tenants and you're going to collect your full rent from them. So perhaps that shifts it to near that 10 million. So that's the rule. If you invest 100 million, it should give you 10 million. If you invest 10 million, it should give you 1 million. If it's not giving you that 1 million or 10 million, don't invest in it. Don't invest if you're not going to be in Nigeria. The last one again is, remember what I said, if you don't know, don't invest. There are people that export agricultural products from America or from Nigeria to America. Don't join them if you don't know about it, but you can invest in them. If they need money so bad, they can write you a bond and say, if you give us this investment, we guarantee that we will give you back so and so. Go to a court, get it notarized, make it legal, you have it. They will pay you back because you are giving them cheaper source of funds. They will try their best to pay you back. But that's also a very, very good area to invest in these small SMEs that just need capital. They already have the idea, they just need capital to scale. You can also be there. So I've gone from less risky to more risky. The less risky ones, you go to Nigerian banks, you give them the money, you take your dollars, you give them, they give you a higher APY, annual percentage rate in dollars. That's the less risky. Or you convert your dollars to Naira, you invest in Naira. So higher risk because you're now investing in Naira. You've lost the seat to dollars. Or you do debt. You take your money, you give to folks, they give as debt, they pay you back. That's now the highest risk because you are now investing in debt. If the guy cannot pay, you can't kill him. You cannot pay. If you want to do property, be careful. Buying a house has to pay you at least 10% in rental yield. You can build a house for yourself. That's fine. You don't care about yield. But to invest in anything, it must pay you 10%. So which means student accommodation, whatever they're asking to invest in, ask them for the yield. What is the yield? If I invest this, what will the students pay me back? If it's not up to 10%, you walk away. So I think I've maybe tried to give you that. Let me stop there.
All right, thank you very much. This is taking a different turn, but let's just exhaust the questions we have now on the speakers, then we'll move to the comments section. So who comes next? Because Juna Space. I would like us to have some ladies come up and ask questions as well. Come and join the conversation. I'm sure you have a lot on your mind that you would like to discuss with us. Just bring your questions and whatever it is. Let's have more women on the space. There was somebody by the name Awele that came up before, but I think she dropped. If you can come back, please do. Okay, let's go to Agobata Victor. Agobata Victor, you have the mic. Please ask your question in 60 seconds. Let's have
greetings, everyone. It's not much of a question that I have, more from a contribution. I didn't join the space on time. I only got the notification late. So my contribution is in the aspect of agriculture, like Kalu mentioned earlier. I'm based in the Republic of Ireland in Europe, and basically there they import food, vegetables from Uganda, Kenya, India, South Africa, and I've approached most of the managers in most of these companies. I've asked them before if they import from Nigeria, and they said no. Looking back home, I know that our land is fertile and is blessed. I was in Nigeria during the Easter break for my friend's wedding. I spoke to my friend about it, and we met some people in Owerri. We told them about it, but nobody gave us a tangible answer like, okay, that agriculture is something they would like to look into. And I was like, this is a lucrative thing that you guys you have fertile land, cultivate, and I can help with paperwork and maybe writing emails, proposal to these companies. I can go in person, submit it, then you both do your communication. But no answer was given to me. I just ignored it because it's not a particular field that I will personally go into. So agriculture is a good field that most of us should look into in the East, and especially in Anambra, in Imo State, in Abia. We have fertile lands there. I've not been much of in Enugu, so I really can't say for Enugu, but the places I've been to, even in Ebonyi State as well. And another thing he made mention was the hub for fact checkers. Also, when I wanted buying a land, I encountered difficulty while abroad. I had to go through friends from school, even lecturers from my university back in the day, to help me verify the land and all that. So surveyors will also be a plus in the fact checker, so that you be rest assured that, okay, yes, this land that you're purchasing is actually legit. Is not like it's not in a place where it can be maybe in government property, government land and all that, so that in future you will not have your property being demolished. So I think the surveyors need to come into the fact checkers as well. It's just my own contribution. I'm just trying to chip in, not like I have a question to ask.
All right. Thank you very much, Victor. Let's move to the next. McDonald,
Nigerians food crops are not being sold abroad because we're not passing the safety test. So a long time ago, they checked the containers that the goods are coming from Nigeria. It contained chemicals. In Nigeria, we have pests, so we were spraying the chemicals with fumigation, and that contaminated it. So we haven't passed. I think in Europe, we were banned for like 5 years. I'm not sure if we've come out. That's where the problem is. We're not doing it properly, which goes back to this process point I'm talking about. If you want to export, learn how it's done. Even in Ghana, if Ghana can export without issues, Nigeria should be able to export food without issues. Package properly, don't use chemicals, and export it. Label it as organic, it's premium, you can sell more. So when Nigerians are the ones failing in that regard, Nigerians now go to Ghana and export yam. So they take the head of the yam from Nigeria, plant it in Ghana, and export it as Ghanaian yams, what is Nigerian yam, because you can't export yams from Nigeria abroad. It's banned because of the chemical use. All right, just to give you that context.
All right. Well, McDonald, Ganiru, ask your question.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. I know if you
Okay. Because Kalu Aja today, all no men do but na space that. So the man could hear before, but that one will I'm the apology.
Because McDonald, there is a lot of noise in your background. Or the possible to move to a place more quiet?
I'm in a lounge, so I'm
because the noise, the sound in your background sometimes overwhelms your own voice. So we can't even hear you clearly. Probably get move to a better to quiet. We can go. Can you? Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
Is it better now?
A little better. Ganiru.
Okay, I was using a headphone. You understand? Because I'm in a lounge. So, but I don't want to go off this space because it's quite enlightening.
You understand? So, Kalu, you really pulled me out of this Arabala, my brother. Let me not waste our time because I'm in a noisy place. I'm speaking from Belgium. Kalu knows me a bit. So, I'm the General Secretary of Igbo Union in Ghent, in Belgium. You understand? So I can actually pull some guys together. You understand? Here and there could go to like 50 million in like 5 or 7 guys together. But now the point is, how do we do this thing? How do we get it? How can we get return on investment? What's your advice? Because when we talk about foreign direct investment, you understand? Because Kalu may go confused first because he has drawn light on a lot of points. I'm not thinking they say so. But at the point to now, if we forget the government policies, because no matter how much we pull into our homes as we that live in diaspora, if the policies at home are not safe, one bad policy can destroy all the investments. So, Kalu, please direct us very well, because we also need to gather our strength to pursue these governors. Because from what you said originally, the Southeast is one of the safest places to invest in. But what are our governors doing? You understand? Because Kunia drew one question at some point that what are the hanging fruits? What are the bottlenecks? You understand? The federal government are not really. There's a conspiracy in the federal level against the Southeast. You understand? But what are we doing to fight against that conspiracy? What are our governors or the 5 governors in the Southeast doing to fight against this conspiracy? I think they are gullible. They don't want to sacrifice, because if the Southeast governors could be able to sacrifice, we can beat our chest and overrun whatever this federal government is conspiring against us. We can beat them. Like we have started from the south, from the Abia state now, from what you're saying.
Okay, Biko, I think he has heard your question, so let's have him respond. Then we'll move forward from that. Dialogue so much.
Yeah, I think I was saying that I started by saying that no investment, you cannot predict the future, but the time to invest is when things are bad, not when things are good. So if you can take the risk, Nigeria is a good investment. If you can, and I said Southeast is because you have a place where you have the quote unquote less incidence of poverty. They may not be rich, but even across all the zones, I hope you guys have shared the chart. Across all the zones, the zone with the lowest incidence of poverty in Nigeria is the Southeast. That is including Lagos, all the zones. I think you should share that chart up. So if you're an investor, you are attracted to that because that's where you can maybe sell your product. But again, you bring an interesting point. It is the governor's jobs to forget politics and work together for the Southeast. I was incensed when I saw the Geometric Power Commission, and that was the day they then invited the vice president to come to Enugu. That's unnecessary. It shows we're not learning from lessons. Once elections are over, we must stop anything politics and hold the governors to account on developing the Southeast. All the Southeast states speak English. All the Southeast states have the same curriculum. Why can't all the Southeast states go to a book company and say, produce these books for the Southeast under one contract and give us 20% discount across the board? That's the things we want to see. All those states were one state, one region in the past. Then they became 2 states. Now they are 5 and they can't coordinate. So we have to move away from this Onyia, APC, Onyia. It doesn't matter anymore. Coordinate. All those 5 states should form a development fund. They put development fund in. It's one fund, one contractor. Go to China and bring in a guy to build railway across the board. That's what we should do. Not one state issuing contract for rail, one state issuing contract for road. No, have a 10-year plan, like what the Chinese do. For the Southeast, irrespective of whoever is elected, whoever you are, you must build this road from here to here. And the voters will tell that this is what has been agreed. You must build it, whether you are APC or LPP, it doesn't matter. That road from this place to this place must be built. Schools must be funded. In America, Trump and Biden are going for election. Nobody is saying if Trump wins, Snohomish County will get new schools. It doesn't happen. We know that whoever wins, those schools are going to be funded, no matter who wins. So we have to go away from individuals to a plan drawn up by the voters, drawn up by the residents in the Southeast to develop a 10-year development plan. We're going to dredge, we're going to build, we're going to lay. This project, that project, that project. Put it up there. If you don't come into that project, you're not going to be voted in. You've got to put pressure. So don't blame the politicians. Blame the guys that vote for them when they are not going to do it. The politicians are smarter than you. So you've got to hold them to account. If now one state, Abia, has cost everything there, I see Enugu now posting roads built. I see Imo posting roads built. That is good. We want that competition. We want Imo to compete with Abia. I'm going to build better schools than you. I'm going to build better. That's the competition we want. Because when there's competition, the consumers enjoy. Not one guy building private jet or airport. We should focus and build the South's economy. Then this investment will pour in. But you can't sit down and do suboptimal investment. No matter what Abia State builds, if you don't connect Aba to Port Harcourt or Aba to Wales or Aba to Enugu, then what is the point of it all, right? It's got to be connected, one big, large market, one zone that can attract investments into that zone and then create wealth from that zone. Thank you very much.
Actually, this is actually getting a little political, and I don't want a choice because all goes red. They can't do without each other. Yeah, economy and politics. But we'll get into that conversation fully eventually. For now, we have to go to work. We have to really learn how to organize ourselves to pressure people that are elected into power. But most importantly, learn how to work together to educate the masses, to awaken the masses, to reorient the masses so that they can actually vote with making informed decision. Or just based on sentiment. So can vote to worry about based on competence, based on what we require to be able to build our region. Thank you so much again, Kalu. Let's move to Dr. Joseph. Dr. Joseph, go on.
Okay, my brother and all the spacers tonight, thank you very much, Kunye, for the opportunity. So, my brother Kalu, thank you very much for your insight. So ajụjụ in a way, I think for a very long time, it's not a new subject, right? What has always been the bottleneck is always at the point where you try to move it from concept, into implementation or into initiation. Imago. That's where we always run into problems, right? Because most of Ndi Neme Akuruono as a personal social responsibility rather than a business initiative. Now, so igafuna enwere a lot of people na-ewenata ego eji na-arụ ụlọ ụka, ụfọdụ na-ewenata ego a na-arụ ụzọ, ụfọdụ na-ewenata ego a na-arụ different things, but enwebero a lot of iwenata ego eji eme business. And just like you rightly pointed out, that imago consolidated approach, a vehicle, so to speak, an SPV, imago people got to kwasamobi again ego. And then when they buy into this kind of activities, but they've rather focused a lot of their attention na Lagos, Port Harcourt, and Abuja. Ebe where returns are more guaranteed, are quicker. Imago. For example, you gave an example of AfriInvest. AfriInvest is really managed, technically speaking, by Onyia. I think it's Ike and his team. Many other equity investment managers anyway. Na Lagos, a lot of them. Now the question is, Kedi, first question, how do we migrate the capital returns that our people are making to move from personal social responsibility into business investments that will yield return? And then what is the kind of advocacy necessary wherever they are that nego ha na-ewenata na Igbo is money that can yield investment probably at the level or higher than whatever they can get anywhere else in the world. So that's number one question. How do we move the mind of the people from around into no business the kind of vehicle, how can it be implemented, right? Then the second one, the approach the better. Is it government-led or is it private sector-led? Now, when you say private sector, in the past, Jack made something nowhere. Ala Igbo Youth Forum, which was really business-oriented, Imago. But I think maybe there was a bit of dichotomy of the messaging. For that Morocco, a government initiative, for that Morocco, private initiative. So, and that sort of mixed messaging didn't really make it very sharp. I know it was the first experience. Of course, they will get better in the next one. Manana Majugi as somebody with a lot of experience in finance and business modeling to say, the best approach to these investments na Igbo, because there has to be some consolidation, which is what my first question was. But then after it is happening, for it to come to bear and become operational on the ground, right? Kedi gave me that credit worthiness, gave me people where we not go. Or private sector driven. If it is private sector, Kedindi or the Geka, behind such an initiative. And then all no government initiative. Will it be by means of forming a small body for all the commissioners of commerce in the southeast, or commissioners of industry, or commissioners of the economy, or commissioners of finance? KDK operationalize, so that this thing will start hitting the ground. Because to the Hokaway philosophy, Hokaway concept, that is really my concern. And I would like you to shed more light on it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so real quick, right? Success attracts people. When you succeed, investors come in. You don't have to do anything to attract investors. Investors want success. So the way it has to go is that one or two people will be successful. Then everyone then floods in, which is the point I'm making about if you have your economic forum in your own little town union, it's not everyone that's going to join. If you are going to join and say, okay, let me invest in this vegetable export business to Canada, that guy is going to go in, either he loses money or he makes money. If he makes money, the next meeting, there will be more people at that meeting that want to invest. And that's how you then create this critical mass of investors that are looking for investable deals. Silicon Valley did not start overnight. American PEs did not start overnight. There's lots of failures, a lot of hard work that goes into building that critical pathway for investing, right? The Indians did not all get successful. Many Indians lost their money in this hotel or filling station deal. But the bulk of the stories have been positive. Why do Nigerians play football now? Why do we send our kids to learn football? Because we've seen success from soccer. We haven't seen a lot of success in agriculture. There are too few stories that this person went into agriculture and he made billions from agriculture. But if you go to Brazil, you have billionaire farmers exporting soybeans to China. So in Brazil, you see many people doing soybeans farming or to export. So you have to get success, and then that success will attract the investors. But what you need now is to create that structure. How can you get the folks that have capital to the folks that need capital? Who is going to do the process, the process systems and people? Who does that part of it? You know, if you are a smart person, remember that when people are looking for gold, you should be selling shovels. If you don't have a job, market yourself, build a company around verification, around, you know, verifying documents. People abroad hear lots of stories. Oh, I'm this, I'm that. Build a company around that. That's an opportunity for you. But to summarize the answer, it is business will go where it sees success. So your job is just to build out the framework, the infrastructure. That's what the state investment promotion, that those things always have, Abia State Investment Promotion Company. That's what it should do. You know, if I was in that position in Abia State Investment Promotion abroad, I would just do this diaspora thing, and people take money from the pool in diaspora and invest in Abia with that money I've given to you, and it can work immediately. And once you do it, once other states says it's working, they start to copy you. So the first mover, whoever does this first, people like, why didn't we do it ever since? Why wasn't it ever done a long time ago? But you are sitting on a diaspora that's got millions. The richest Nigerians, the richest black people abroad here are mostly Nigerians. That are the doctors in Maryland, doctors in Houston. They are mostly Nigerians. So if they're mostly Nigerians, then you would say at least 40% guaranteed are from the Southeast. So if you have that level of investable capital sitting in America that can give you $1,000, why aren't you tapping them? Okay, name our universities. University of Nsukka, University of Nigeria, Nsukka, the alumni of that university, if you combine their net worth, I'm sure to approach $1 trillion in dollar terms. The combined alumni of that University of Nigeria, do they have an endowment fund? The last when I was in school, in that school, it was the demand from, is it Nnaemeka, that had built something in the university. In Enugu, he had done an investment there. But does the University of Nigeria have an endowment fund? Which university in the Southeast has an endowment fund? So what are we talking about? Even Peter Obi says, oh, he brought a doctor from UK or America to set up a heart clinic in the school there in Anambra. But that university does have an endowment fund. Can't we see what Harvard are doing? So we have to institutionalize these things. I love Alex Oti, but we've got to make these things institutionalized so that whoever is there, we just let these things carry on. If you set up an endowment fund today, you do not have to worry about a kobo for tuition for children of the Southeast going forward. Do you know that it means that anyone in the Southeast that is living in America can donate money to that endowment fund and get a tax write-off in America if you set it up properly? So why haven't we done it? Who is stopping us from doing it? Is it the government? No, it's not the government. It's that we are not interested. We like to talk, but don't want to get our hands dirty in doing these things. So go and get young people that are hungry to accomplish things and put them in charge. Put them in charge. Say, your job is Commissioner of Endowment. Go to America and set up an endowment. Many people will take that job without pay. Go to Amazon, they're Nigerians. Go to Facebook, they're Nigerians. Go to any company you go to in this country, in America, they are Nigerians. So if they're Nigerians, then you are sure that at least 30% are Igbo. They will do this job for you without a penny. You can't even pay them. So build the plumbing, then the business will take care of itself. I repeat that again, yeah?
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Casey.
Kalu, thank you so much, man. Again, a lot of ideas. I know for so many collaborations. I need email as a people. I like him ideas Nina I need share because we learn one or two things from it. I know they know very important. Most importantly, more I am now. What I hear the most is we need a structure, we need a hub, we need somewhere we can come together and discuss ideas. But I want to take you back. Politically to Ihikubu before. A lot of the things that you've said seems to be like no structure in anywhere. we don't have the structure in place. And a lot of it seems like there's a lot that is dependent on the government. And I need, forward-thinking people who can actually help and know what they are doing. But we lack them. We lack some of those ideas. Even money, ego hanwe, that they could have possibly even invested in the people. A lot of them have chosen to do so many different things. So we're not really relying on them a lot. You want that? So how can we then collaborate with them to be able to make some of these things possible from a business perspective or body politically? You want that? So how can we be able to work with the government? Because it seems to be there needs to be a bridge. So I need to build this bridge. What are the steps and how can we accomplish it?
Okay, let's talk about Nollywood. Who built Nollywood? Was it the government? No. It was private individuals that built Nollywood to the third largest grossing movie industry on earth. No government money, individuals. They were not even trained in movies or in business. They just built it. So imagine if the government actually had a plan to build Nollywood. What would have happened? It would have surpassed now Hollywood or Bollywood in terms of even quality. The point I'm making is that you can't wait for the government. The government's role, government doesn't think like the private sector. It comes after, then it creates structures to build out or to scale what already exists. If Nollywood occurred in Singapore, by now they would have taken that industry, created their laws, attracted investment, scaled it 50 times what we're doing in Nollywood today. 50 times, attracted investment, you'd have Paramount and Columbia in Singapore doing all that. But today in Nigeria, we seem to have grown, then we stopped. Right? Well, what else has come from Nollywood? Where is the film village? Tinapa was going to have a film, but where's the film village, right? Where is the school for photography and videography in Nigeria that you can go learn how to do digital movies? Now there's AI. So in the next 10 years, you're not going to have human actors anymore. So they're going to be AI. So countries like Rwanda are going to create their own Nollywood with their own Aki and Popo that will speak Rwandanese, and Nigerians will buy it because we have not scaled. This is the point I'm making, that the government really can't do. The governments work when the private sector is giving them things to work with. Singapore built civil servants, and the civil servants built an economy that attracts private investments. Same with Ireland. In Nigeria, you already have the private investment, but what the problem is that the government itself is not tuning or plugging to the government, to the population or to the business environment to then grow what they have. So Charles Soludo, CBN governor, wrote SEEDS, wrote NEEDS, which was the economic plan for Nigeria. State is SEEDS, N is national economic development program, or whatever. And can he say to the best of his ability that he has turned Anambra to quote-unquote China? Because back then Charles Soludo said he would turn Anambra to China and that South Africa can be Japan. He didn't. What is China? China is going to your rural areas and converting rural areas to agricultural and post-harvest cluster companies. So in a village in Anohafia, for instance, they are turning cassava to high-quality cassava flour and they're exporting. From that village in Anohafia, what happens? The villagers in Anohafia become very rich. Then they can send their children to that school that is paying 5 million per term. A farmer will send his child to a 5 million per term school. What happens? The child learns and comes back to the village and scales that his father's cassava factory into a global company that now supplies Walmart with cassava flour. That's what China did. Rural areas, they solved hunger. Then they went to cluster manufacturing on the coast. They solved that. Then they went to internal manufacturing of components and slowly started to replace the Western companies that were on the coast. You can do the exact same thing. That's what the government of Nigeria has not done. And I don't think they'll do it tomorrow. But you and I on a private space can start it tomorrow. That's the point. So take it up. Take it up tomorrow. There are many local governments that have richer people, but they don't have quote-unquote leaders that can connect those dots, get put together and move on. Last Twitter, I saw villages, there were people posting buildings in Southeast. I mean, these were like Hollywood homes. And I said, all those homes, that's dead capital. There's no C of O. You can't lend on those homes. There's dead capital. If you can build a 100 million naira home in your village, then you can contribute to a 1 million naira fund, an impact fund that will be used to develop agriculture, water resources in your village. But you can't blame the billionaire in your village. You have to blame yourself for not giving him the opportunity where to invest that 1 million. So if that rich guy that came home for Christmas wants to invest $1 million in your community, where will he do it? He doesn't have time to do philanthropy. He wants to give you the money and go back. The same way he gives the state of Maryland money and goes back. So create that structure for him and make sure that structure is auditable, is verifiable, and can do the job. Then this money will start to flow. Igbos are everywhere. Take advantage of them. They can inflow yuan, dollars, pounds to your economy. Take advantage of them. Let me stop there. My good friend Dr. Obiareri is here. He's the one I said you guys should try to invite to talk about the specifics on agricultural investment. He'll give you specifics, what to plant, where to plant them, and what he's doing so far. So either at this space or this one, please ensure that.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm excited to see Dr. Nnaemeka Obiareri. Actually, let me just make this announcement. He's going to be on this show next Saturday, 25th of May, and we're talking about developing agro-business opportunities in Ala Igbo. That's what we're focusing on. So he's going to take his time to go deep into that and bring out all the nitty-gritties that we need to look into, and then take all the questions that we have. So prepare yourself for that. But we're still on this conversation, and I'm happy to see him here. He is definitely going to add some real meat to this conversation. Thank you for coming on board, Dr. Nnaemeka. So let's move to Sheikh. Sheikh, let's have your question, please.
Okay, hi everybody. So my question is not necessarily a question; it's more of a comment, and I'd just like to see what Kalu thinks about it. Right. So I get your question, your submission in terms of the place of organization, structure, and all of that, right? Which has been my point of argument all along. That foreign direct investment does not necessarily need people to go and lobby them. So long as people see the output, they see the numbers, people will start coming there. But we've lacked the structure. Now, you've also just highlighted in your last submission in terms of what we're seeing with Nollywood and the ability to create. And we've had this conversation so many times on Twitter Spaces, on Clubhouse, and all of that. And my question is, when are we going to start doing this? Are we going to keep waiting, and every time we come, we make these submissions, brilliant submissions, and say, okay, this is it? There are a lot of people here who have tried to do things, but most times it's because we don't see the big uptake, because I can imagine somebody like yourself, Kalu, coming on board and saying, you know what, let's set up this structure and put people into a room and get people into committees and all of that. So that's where my submission is. It's time for us to get our hands working. And my question to you is, would you kind of make yourself available to be that rallying point? Because right now you are like that person that almost every young person around sees that, okay, this guy knows what he's saying when it comes to economics. And I believe that somebody like you will be able to rally a lot of us around. So would that be a task that you will be willing to take? Or would that be something that you'll be willing to endorse somebody and say, okay, let's rally around this person, and also put your hand in the ring to say, everybody come, let's rally around this person and let's build this thing, rather than us every time making these submissions? Thank you.
So that's why I'm here, bro. That's why I'm on this Twitter space. So let me just be modest, right? So I have a day job, and apart from a day job, I have tons of these things that people, this exact same thing you are talking about. I talk to people I get paid to do what I'm doing here. I'm not getting paid now. I'm doing this because I want to pass information for free. Do you get where I'm coming from? There is no one that writes me on Twitter and says, I have this problem. I don't know how to solve it. It involves this, and it's a serious question. And I don't respond to him, I don't show him the way to go and get it. There's no one that can say that. None, nobody. I might not answer if you're saying where should I invest. That's in advisory. The point I'm making is, in the end, these things are all out there. We have got to look for people. We've got to insist on change. The same way we have insisted, and you have just one governor that seems to be doing the right in the Southeast, and now you see all the governors are now focused on infrastructure. The same has to happen across the board. Again, it's only the voters that can do it, and it's not one size fits all. In Nnewi, people have a lot of money. Their own model. Look at what Nnewi did. You must put head office in Nnewi. That's what they did. So whatever you're doing in Nnewi, your head office might be in Nnewi. Many folks in Nnewi might not have a head office in Nnewi per se, but they have a girl with a desk on the table in Nnewi. They are paying her salary. There are many ways to do this. And each organization, each age group, each state, each local government area has to say which works for them. But the idea is connect to your diaspora. No, connect to them with seriousness and say, this is what we need. Google impact bonds. I'm going to talk about impact bonds a lot. Google impact bonds. That's what India uses a lot to connect their diaspora to the poor citizens in India. Because it's like investing, but you're looking for high returns. Impact bonds. We need to get those sort of things up and running. So people that want to invest can just invest. Nobody has time to chase what the governor of Abia or Imo is doing. The guys in diaspora have to pay taxes and grow their income. They don't have the time to do that. So it goes back to the point of anyone that calls and says, I want to do this, I need your help. Look at this proposal. Does this make sense? Of course, I will do that for you without even charging you. But we have to want it. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. People have to want it. You are all young. There's the internet. You can get any information you want. And there are so many opportunities out there to invest. So many companies now in America are chasing diversity. They are looking for a credible place where they can say we partnered with these people and we changed the life of these people. But they're also worried about fraud. So they need someone that will say, I credentialize this organization. If you work with this organization, you can do things. I belong to a fraternity that started in Nigeria. And every year, these guys have invested back home in Nigeria. They set up a 501c3 company in America. So when I give them money, it's tax advantage. They support Cheshire homes, they support old people's homes, they support scholarships in University of Nigeria. They've been doing it quietly. It's just a group of people. They donate money, and every year they give 3 scholarships. They fund children's homes back in Nigeria quietly, without any noise. They've been doing it. And there are many others that do it. But these guys have created the structure, which is why their doctors and the rest can donate to that organization, because they know that the organization is going to send money back to Nigeria and invest it. So again, it's back to the main point. Set the structure up, and these things take care of themselves. Without the structure, it becomes personal, and nobody's going to waste time with a personal initiative. It doesn't just look good. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Wonderful. Thank you, Kalu. This is getting interesting. Dr. Nnaemeka, would you like to chime in here?
Yes. Good evening, my brothers. My brother Kalu, thank you so much. Thank you for your contribution. Akurula investment opportunity in Ala Igbo is something every one of us must always embrace. And like Kalu said, we are not just talking about it, we are doing it. And as I can, basically what we are trying to do is bring in investment into the Southeast. And I will share with us some of the things we are doing. We have established clearly an audacious plan to do 18,690,000 greenhouses in the 1,246 electoral wards in the 5 Southeast states within the 95 local government areas. And as currently we have done about 620 and we are on. The plan is by the end of 2023, 6, we'll be able to do 18,960 greenhouses. It will take about $243 million to do it. It's under what we call the MCDPP framework: missions, community, diaspora, private-public partnership investment. And the plan is annually we'll be able to generate about $473 million revenue in the southeast of Nigeria. And a lot of people have embraced it, diaspora Nigerians, even those in Nigeria. If you have any of your properties that are gated and that are fenced, we will come with you and we will provide 50% equity funding. You provide 50% equity funding. We will do greenhouse investment to enable us to do vegetables. The normal things that those who live in the arid desert have been used with threatening us: the tomato, the habanero pepper, the bell pepper, carrots, and the onions. And we are doing it, and we are doing it massively. The plan is to be able to do about 260,000 tons of veggies across all the value chain. And that is what we are doing. And people have embraced it. Abia State, thank God for Dr. Alex Choma Oti, who have empowered the mayors. Mayors are not like the normal urchins who are appointed as local government chairmen. In every local government area in Abia State, we are doing about 40, 50 greenhouses under a gated environment. They are bringing 250 million naira, all the mayors, and we are bringing 250 million naira counterpart funding from the Southeast Farms and Agricultural Processing Company Limited. It's a private sector company owned by multiple investors. And the plan is to be able to create value chain and create jobs in the southeast of Nigeria. And it will shock you that even those in the southwest and south are buying into this vision. In Ibadan, in Lagos, in Akwa Ibom, in Cross River State, the governors have bought into it and we are helping them to develop it. There's no way those who live in the tropical will depend on those who live in the arid desert for their food and the condiments, and that is what we are doing. So Akurulo is not just a mantra or something people mouth. It's something that we have put practicality in place to make sure it is accomplished. We are setting up a microfinance bank in Aba because LSOT have shown the gauntlet. It's a $6.5 million microfinance bank. It's a Bazaar microfinance bank. We've gotten the funding. We've actually approached the CBN for approval. It's a MCDDPP framework too. And the whole framework is to enable us fund the 330,000 MSMEs in our back cluster. Train, empower, fund. We are not going to be like the criminal banking system in Nigeria where people are sent to prostitute and to do all manner of urges to be able to get deposits. We're not opportunable to give deposits. We will fund enterprises based on clusters and cooperatives. In every community, people know those who are the good, the bad, and the ugly. So across the all artisanal level, across the all farmer grow level, we are going to put people, if you are a farmer that is involved in cassava, we'll put them in cooperative. If you are vulcanizers, we'll put them in cooperative arrangement. If you are tellers, cooperative arrangement. If you are vulcanizers, cooperative arrangement. Across the artisanal levels in Nigeria, basically people know who they are: the bad, the ugly, and the ugly, the bad, the good, and the ugly. So we will provide training to make sure that we eliminate quackery in the system. We'll provide empowerment and we'll provide funding. The initial funding is $6.5 million in place. Our plan is to grow it to about $100 million, and it's actually going to be for Abia State because Alex Chomaoti has provided us the leadership that we require to grow wealth in Abia State. Every other governor in the southeast state who is willing to tow the value chain that Alex Oti had done in Abia State can come in and allow us to come and help them. It's something very interesting. Like I said, 18,690 greenhouses because the governors have refused to ban open grazing and enforce it. Nobody will want to provide investments in an environment that is not secure. Between 2016 and 2023, we lost over 328 million naira in Abia and Imo State. And I will not encourage anybody to lose his own money. So we have adopted a measure and the program that mitigate most of the identified risk. Greenhouse is the way to go. and we are doing it under gated environment that provide us with unique securities that does not allow the militia and the criminal herdsmen to encroach into our properties to destroy our value chain. So that is what we are doing. For those of you who are not aware, food inflation is over 100%. Forget the MBS record. Inflation rate is not at 3%, it's over 67%. But we will not allow ourselves to be caught napping. Basically, what we have done is to ensure that we do not allow ourselves to be caught napping what is happening in Nigeria. By the end of third quarter and fourth quarter, food inflation will go up by almost 80%. The whole of the Northwest and North Central have been decimated by bandits and insecurity. But we are not going to lament and keep ourselves vulnerable. We must do something that must empower our people. And that is what we are doing. Across every of the local government areas, senatorial zones in the Southeast, we are creating rice value chain, 250 hectares of rice value chain in every of the senatorial zones in the 95 local government areas in the Southeast. And it's a PPP framework. We are setting up processing plants. We are doing the Garispeci, and we are going to set up 20 tons per day processing plant to enable us process enough rice to make sure that our people do not go hungry. Cassava value chain, we are doing it. So, and interestingly, the diasporans are responding. It will shock you. I was privileged in March to speak to the class of 76 to 82 graduates of University of Ibadan. These are grandfathers. I don't know how old most of us on this Twitter space is, but I can tell you, graduates of 1976 to 1982 of University of Ibadan, grandfathers, are willing to bet in their dollar. 80% of them are in America and the UK to grow wealth in the Southeast. And what we have done is to provide them with the integrity, with the passionate creativity, with the honesty that they require to make sure that we provide them with the platform to grow wealth under the mantra of Akurolo in such a way that they do not lose their monies and everybody is happy. So guys,
okay,
Abia State is the right place. We have done. We are in Abia State. We are in Anambra State. You know, I am one of those who do not believe in the politics of Charles Soludo, but I can tell you the insecurity in Anambra State is not of his making or the making of Anambra State. Every insecurity in Anambra is from the Imo State, from the Osu and the Olo axis because of the criminals that we have in Imo State. The insecurity in Abia State is from Imo State, but of course, LXOT have been able to cut them to shreds. And I pray that Soludo will wake up and be able to do the right in Anambra State.
Amen.
And Peter Mba, I also pray that Peter Mba will stop this madness of doing smart schools and will use those monies that he wants to waste to revive most of the schools in Enugu State, and then take practical steps like we have advised him.
Doctor,
to set up clusters in Nimbo. So these are the things that we have done. Okay, go ahead.
Doctor, take a breather. Let's get in more questions. Then you both can respond. Because ndị mmadụ karịa ajụ ajụjụ karị. Igbo nwere mmadụ ịfọrọ ka o si kwuo now. A na-ekwu ekwu a na-eme eme, ya na-ekwu na-eme. Ife eji malụ ndị Igbo. Ife eji malụ ndị Igbo. Yes. Evangelist Priscilla, nwanne m nwanyị. Welcome. Ibia late, but welcome.
Good evening. Like, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm Manifin. Can you?
Like, I'm just writing here. At some point, I know my decor again. Thank God that this space is recorded. When I'm chilling down, maybe with a glass of palm wine, I'll just probably taking because Igbo went madu. And good evening, everyone. You're welcome to the MONI Show, Makodim Ndi Igbo. It's you again, Priscilla, your service culture evangelist here, and it's so glad to have you here. I also see English gang so let's keep up with the program. Chukakwe.
Because now soon combination. So anybody that wants to ask a question, ask in any language, Igbo or English. Kawula.
That was English kind of association. Time to me like that. Oh, it's not after now. What you guys say? Or knows quite here could not study an Igbo. So
I'm super French.
ịsụọ French ịkwụọ fine. Ịsụọ ihe ọbụla na-abụrụ Igbo or English ịkwụọ fine ozugbo ewere eme investment.
All right, it's so good to have everyone here. If you're just joining us, Biko Iweki Jajuju na the comment section. Agamad, I will be asking the question here for everyone. Makanaiwe, a lot of us here on the spaces who want to be a part of this conversation. Some people might be on the speaker session. I thank you to everyone, and special thank you to our guest, Mr. Kalu. It's good to have you here, and also Mr. Nnaemeka, who just spoke. To everyone here as well. If you want to ask questions, I am not so sure that you might get to the speaker session before the end of the spaces, please, you can ask in the comment section. I promise I would read this question. Chuka has promised to give me the opportunity to read your questions, and Mr. Kalu, like he has said repeatedly, he will answer your questions. So thank you so much for being a part of this show. And moving forward, we have Dreams. Dreams, you're next to speak. Thank you.
Dream on ebe bụ ngwa Chief Nwachinemelu biko gaa n'iru.
Alright, ụmụnne m ekene m nke onye chi nyazalụ. Ana m ekene onye ọbụla n'ebe a. Kalu, daalụ rinne. Doc, I see you. When I get where we would have actually had conversations on this. Kunia, ana m ekene Nnaemeka taking this notch higher. Funding Kemal and Anime host this similar space, Igbo business space, where we talk about something dear to us. So I'm kind of happy. I'm put out for somebody else is also, focusing on Otuage to Meka and Igbo, where you can grow beyond the phone on Yakita. Okay, bidoli when you come immediately for na talk na space here because part of the things Kalu but something now we have discussed a couple of times in my own space, Igbo business space, with Dr. Obiareri and a couple of other people like Watergrass, well, Ife Basalo, only one time I'm in a space ever last year, and then we talked about one of the issues I know where we affect this issue of Akuruelno, but issue of trust. A lot of them buy no Lego, they buy Lego. When I get to where Dr. Nkwoku, he mentioned about the class of grandfathers that are really ready to invest their money, and I'm in one of my spaces. He talked about people bringing money, and then he's also managing that and all of that. And even Choi Chipu in, and also will be questioned as well. I mean, Carlo and Dr. are here to respond to that. The issue of managing trust. A lot of people are a little bit excited, but then when things come to issues, we contribute to Bego. All the difficult to really deal with people. One time, Doctor also mentioned that Ndi Lego, and at the end of the day, the person really had the money. If I be uchi yande buy as, if I mean a lot of them buy G the money. As well, and they're not outside the country. Surely, he may invest. Na Igbo, really. But the question, kedu ka ga-esi we manage ego ndia because obodo not just also with an ego. Somebody like me, and with my own business na Anambra, but on a smaller scale. Into building industry and building materials and all those kind of things, timber exploration and the but then when you want to look at it on a larger scale, things I'm to upscale, then can on a small, can move where to medium and then of course to macro. Kedo the process in place. Can make sure it's just similar to what Dr. Obiareri put. But then I'm asking Kalu, of course, and they know finance and they want a better understanding of how these things can work. Kedo a process in place so that Onyia no abroad, let's say $50,000 or $100,000, actually may invest na Igbo, so that the money will not just go like that. Not just agriculture, but the only thing we can invest money heavily on, in as much as that is important. I like in the fact that Doctor and the team are already working on that. But in well interest in every other, maybe any other industry or area, factual, itinye gonia. What can we do to put a checkmating process in place so that raise thousands of dollars or pounds or euros or wherever controllable he send the air for the money to go into something. After few years, if you don't know back, those all those things are not a story. Then where a time we are contributing money, can build or something. Nanibo group of few persons eventually decided to eat the money and then run away with the money. And I know this kind of stories all the time, right? So what would be a lasting, let me use that word, what would be a lasting solution to encouraging people to bring their money, and then when that encouragement that eventually when they bring the money, this money will be utilized for what it was meant to be used for, and then where a case of tomorrow few people will just swindle people of their hard-earned money. So Callum or Doc can actually respond to this. That will be what I will contribute for now. But I have other things to say, but let me just hold for now.
Can I take your question?
Yeah, go ahead, Doc.
Okay, and now let me tell you, and my brother, I so much appreciate your candor or your candidness and your direct approach to this. You're not the only one. Between 2016 to 2022, I lost over 318 million naira in Abia State. And of course, I am an investment banker. I know how to identify and mitigate risk. But one thing I never factored in was the issue of the fidelity of human beings. And one of the things that I've done in the course of my research, my doctorate dissertation is on the effectiveness of microfinance as a tool for sustainable poverty reduction in Nigeria. And my doctoral thesis opened my eyes to the fact that you have to find ways of mitigating individual fidelity risk. And the only way you can mitigate individual fidelity is through the cooperative arrangement. And cooperative arrangement is one of the ways you can get around this. I'll give you practical example of how we are able to do that. If you've not lost money before, you will not understand what it means to be pained. I sold a property that I bought, the bank financed. I was in a bank as head of investment banking. They funded a property for me in Lekki Phase 1, 4-bedroom duplex with 2-room PQ. I sold that property to invest in the southeast. Umuibe or Hanze, Obingwa local government to be precise, and that money was preferred and stolen by a criminal who I trusted so much with my funds. And of course, I brag always as an investment banker who never booked bad loan in 23 years. But on my own, I booked a bad loan because I trusted one who could not keep the fidelity. And of course, I have discovered clearly that one of the ways you can mitigate this is through the cooperative arrangement. And what is the cooperative arrangement? In the course of my doctoral research, I discovered that women are most trusted. And they are most trusted when you put them up under cooperative arrangement. For example, I'll give you an example. I am running a program with mechanics and the organizers. And I say to them, we cannot continue to recycle mediocrity. If you look around us in Nigeria, you'll discover that most of the best artisans you have are from the Francophone countries because they are properly trained and they are knowledgeable. In Nigeria, we have continued to recycle mediocrity, from mechanics to vulcanizers to those who do POPs and masonry. We have continued over the last 50 years to recycle mediocrity compared to those in Francophone countries. So I discovered that one of the ways you can mitigate against mediocrity, one of the ways you can mitigate against infidelity is to put them in cooperatives. And what is the whole essence of cooperatives? They will help you to de-risk the risk of lending. Because in every community, you know those who are the good, the bad, and the ugly. For example, now, if I decide today I'm going to give 20 million naira to vulcanizers, and I ask them to put themselves together in a cooperative, and then I say, okay, there are 50, I want to give money to the first 10. I can bet you 9 over 10, they will never allow the criminals among them to access the fund first, because they are going to counter-guarantee themselves in such a way that if one defaults, every other person will pay. It's something I learned in my doctoral thesis, and it has worked over the last 2 years based on the experience I've had. Now, how do we go forward on this? And that is what I support the Copado model, modifying the Igbo apprentice scheme. I told you we have raised $6.5 million to create microcredit lending in Aba, to be precise. We have identified clusters of 330,000 MSMEs. We are going to train them, we are going to empower them, we are going to fund them. But they must be done in clusters of cooperatives. Each and every one of them must counter guarantee each other. For example, we identify tellers, they put them in cooperatives. We identify mechanics, Mercedes mechanics, they put themselves in cooperatives. We identify shoemakers, they put themselves in cooperatives. We provide them with training. We're not going to recycle quackery in Ala Igbo. We train them, we provide them with necessary equipment to make them to produce productively. We empower them with the financial seed funding, and we recover our expenses and our profit. So that is the way we must go. And that is the only way we can be able to insulate ourselves from criminality that we have discovered. Nigeria is a crime scene. Let nobody deceive you. It's an active crime scene. And the only way you can shield yourself from the active criminality in Nigeria is to allow people to de-risk investment and the risk of lending for you. And that is what I have learned working over 23 years in the banking industry. I have lost money personally. I have lost money of my investors. But of course, in every experiences, I have learned also to learn how to protect myself and protect my investors. And I can tell you, you can never get it wrong investing in Abia State and the clusters that we have created. It's left for us to sit down and ask ourselves, what do we want to do and how do we want to go about this? And I can bet you, there's no better place to invest your money than in Ala Igbo. We have a microfinance bank that we have established. We are securing licenses. Bazaar Microfinance Bank, we have 6.5 million already secured. And we are praying that those in Abuja will not play Ponzi game with us and give us the license to enable us to seed investments and to provide funding solutions to those within those clusters that we have identified. Unkocha Awoyojo, I'm an Igbo man. Any man who has not experienced the bad will not be able to mitigate the bad and experience the good. And that is one thing I've learned. I have gotten my fingers burnt, gotten my legs burnt, gotten my funds burnt, but that will not put me away from investing in Ala Igbo. It's something I've learned. I have my house in my village burnt. Factory I spent 98 million to do, burnt. Pig farm that I spent almost 30 million to do, the pig slaughtered. The pigs eaten by hungry boys, and they even wrote me a mail that they are hungry and they ate my pig and my pork. I am not bothered and nothing can stop me because I believed so much that some of us have been inalienably committed by God to make sure that we bring value to our community and to ensure that we do not miss the visions of Michael Obara, who in 7 years grew the biggest and the strongest and the most profitable and the most viable economy in the whole of Africa, growing at 9.5% per annum for several years. A medical doctor who was not seated in the act of governance but learned through practice, sincerity and honesty. So let nobody be discouraged. We will get it right. We will do it right and nothing can discourage us. It is something we must all do. Look at the very big opportunities. I say to everybody, Netherlands, 2 million hectares of land arable. Southeast, 2.8 million hectares of land arable. Netherlands does about 110 billion euros annually. We can do 210 billion euros annually. But we must be very sincere. We must be very honest. We must be very committed. We must be very sacrificial. We must decide if, like Esther, if I perish, I perish. No going back. I have invested most of my funds in Lagos, in the South, in cocoa and Warri, 68 billion. And at the age of 51 plus, I can no longer keep on wasting my investments in any area outside the Southeast. And I must devote the rest of my life on earth growing wealth. I will keep on getting bonds and I will keep on getting growing. And I've identified the risk. We've mitigated. Let us nobody lose fact. There is risk. Risk of insecurity, risk of the criminals who call the political party. But I can tell you, the greatest place to invest today is the Southeast. And we must not forget it, and we must protect ourselves. Let nobody forget this fact. There are risks, it is mitigable. Let us look at how we identify those risks, how we mitigate it, and how we grow collective wealth. Let me even tell you a story. I discussed with a doctor. They are from Abia State, a wife and a husband. Both of them are medical doctors based in California. They invested their monies to develop 20 hectares of cassava. They wanted to do ethanol and flour. Their land were destroyed by Fulani herdsmen who destroyed 20 hectares of cassava farm. They could not get one kobo out of it. And I encouraged them. I said, This time around, we will find a solution to your problems. Abia State is the place everybody must go to for now, because Alex have assured us security. Alex have walked the talk. By the time we begin to grow the Abia economy, the whole of the other criminals in the remaining 4 states will wake up and they will toe the line. Thank you and God bless. I yield the mic.
Oh, dalo so much. Dalo in doctor. Na on our social man equip practical things. On I mean this so real.
On Atom is vote, my brother.
Sorry, just to maybe just to add something, or maybe kind of a question to Doctor Imana. My concern, and I believe when we come some people in we got the experience, Nifa Basalo, this cooperative, and we instances where they in charge of managing cooperative at a point, disappeared with people's money. And for me, just like you said, as also for Mungabo on your business, in as much as those loopholes, Madone Maliki will lose money. Is actually where I'm interested in, because of course when you have a business, there must have been a time you lose some money, and when you lose Berego, you won't really know what it means, to make sure process it in place. Now again, at the business are there. So not like I'm doubting the efficacy of a cooperative, having a cooperative, but then in that cooperative, we're going to get in existence. I would like to see the blueprint of the structure Otuade. Maybe I can rather than within the business and then see how we can implement that and then get literally be on board to join what we are doing.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So,
Okay. Let me give you an example. I'm not talking about cooperative of arches. The cooperative I'm talking about is the cooperative of class of 1976 to 1982, University Medical School in University of Ibadan. These are medical doctors. I don't know how old most of us are. Men who graduated from 1976 to 1982, University of Ibadan. I can bet a finger that 95% of us here were not born before 1980. I am talking about cooperatives of doctors that graduated between 1976 to 1982. I don't know how old most of us on this platform. Yeah, I'm talking about cooperative of doctors who graduated from University of Ibadan between 1976 and 1982. Most of them are grandfathers. They have millions of dollars in their funds and they want to invest in Ala Igbo. I'm talking about cooperatives of graduates of 1988, Emmanuel College or where. I'm talking about cooperatives of medical graduates of University of Nigeria and Soka 1978. Some of them are 72. Okay. Some of them are 72, 78 years.
Okay, Doc.
So of course, you know, I have burnt my fingers and I will never be part of it, and I will burn my finger further. Anything that is not very scientific, I will not be part of it. I am talking about people like
if you don't mind, I would like us to not dwell so much on this. Let's expand the conversation some more. In order to do that, we'll need to take more questions. Like I can see Alex Onyia has been waiting here. So let's hear him. His question might trigger something that will expand this conversation and take us to a different dimension. So that way we can make more sense of this. Okay, Alex, let's hear from you. Good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everyone. I've been paying attention and I think I'm enjoying everything here. So I want to actually take us to a different dimension. I don't invest in physical infrastructure. My own investment is on technology. My own investment is on AI. I mean, fortunately, we've built one of the largest edutech or ERP companies in Nigeria. And of course, we're shipping to different countries now. And one of the things I focus my investment in is human capacity development. I want to know how much people I can train. So most of my investments, you don't see them in physical assets, but it's basically on intellects. So we are valued, of course, over $50 million, yes, in valuation, but you may not see it by physical assets. So it's different from maybe every other person's business. But then, this is the future. The future is not, people will eat definitely. But the future is all about technology, it's all about AI, it's all about automation. And then also it's all about training because, one of the issues that we've always had is that you invest maybe 500 million, and at the end of the day, you bring the investment where the intellect capacity of the people in that area is so low. At the end of the day, your investment waste. One of the things I've always been talking about is we need to radicalize investment in education, because the truth of the matter is that if we have much more educated people, our investment will start making sense. But we have limited educated people. No matter how much you bring, it will still result back to zero. Maybe you end up going to India to hire somebody in India to come and manage your investment in Aba. Why you should have gotten 300 overqualified people for just one single role. So my own is, I think we need to strongly start looking at that. I mean, your schools, you invested 500 million or 1 billion in infrastructure and building maybe a cassava farm. Did you invest 15-20% of that exact amount of money in maybe education in that particular vicinity? Did you project to say, okay, I want to invest 1 billion in the next 5 years? Should I invest 100 million in educating people within the next 4 years? So that by the time I'm bringing my infrastructure in that particular place, because the biggest problem we face in all businesses is human beings. Because with all your money, it will still be run by human beings. How much do we focus on that? How do we radicalize? Like in my own village now, education is everything. We are taking education as if our life depends on it. That is all we do now. And we understand the impact. Because at the end of the day, if more people can be empowered intellectually, the world say enough. Because I don't like the whole idea of, let's say you come to Aba, one big man that owns one big this thing. Because I believe so much in commonwealth, whereby we have 1,000 or 1 million rich people in a particular concentration. And this is only driven by intellectual growth, which is education. And education in different kind of diverse areas. I don't like one big man. I don't like 10 big men. I don't like 100 big men. I like 1 million big men. Let us be the Catalonians. Let us be the people that let it be distributed wealth. And these things can be driven by education. When someone says all these things, I love to hear them, but how can more people? Because there's something you need to understand. I was in Oxford Street one day, and I was just walking by. I stopped by one shop. One man is from Afghanistan. He owns one shop. I mean, he owns several shops in that street. But in Jugo there, this shop, how much do you pay per month? He said he pays £16,000 per week. And see 16,000. He sells all those off-license things, cigar, coke, and all. And say, how much do you make? He said he makes £70,000 per week. I said, okay. So how do you market? He said he doesn't market anything. You can see thousands or millions of people in this street every day, right? I buy it for £1, I sell it for £19. That's all. So I now realize that what grows an economy is people. Now, I've been to Aba like 8 years ago, and I don't see myself coming to Aba anytime soon. Reason is very simple. I still don't feel so safe. I go to Enugu because I must go to Enugu. Now, how do we attract the most people? Whereby the person selling banana is making as much numbers as the person selling tomato, as the person shipping this, as the person shipping that, so that we'll have those kind of concentration that can grow the system. So these are the angles I want us to look at. And the area of technology is something that we should never ignore. Technology, AI, intellectual capacity. So that is actually my contribution. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, sir, for your contribution. That was very, very amazing. Yes, education would always be very important. I mean, like you said, it wouldn't make sense to go bring someone else from another part to be able to, manage these businesses that have been invested in. And not just to digress, and before I welcome my sister to the stage to probably introduce herself and, be a part of this conversation, I'd like to touch on this, and it bothers me. Probably you might see it on my name. One of the major concerns I have with most of the investment in the East is service. As soon as you crossed River Niger, it's just as if there's this hostility in service, the way you're being served. You see really big hotels, really big restaurants, really big lounges with fantastic finishings, and probably they did Thanksgiving and did some form of grand opening. And then when you go there, it's the way you are being served is terrible. I personally try not to go out anymore because I really get upset when I see people's businesses being treating customers poorly. And I wonder, like, is it that it's just about collecting money from the customers, or there's I most times I see that there's zero, interest, or will I say intention around customer service. And if you ask a lot of people their experiences when you go to restaurants or places of hangout, especially during the serious season, which is around Christmas, they will tell you it's like that. They have terrible service culture and customer service relations. It's really, really terrible. And sometimes, one time I was speaking to a friend of mine, I was like, okay, I think I should consider thinking of partnering with some of those businesses to, maybe train or build systems in place for service, because maybe beer or nkwobi or that tissue and all that, and you get baha why you not serve again, the lady that is serving you now all those kinds of things, and it's very upsetting, and it makes a lot of people, they really get exhausted with those things, and I'm putting it probably to those of us here either holding people's investments, especially landed, or things that have to do with interactions and customers, to maybe we should begin to look into that, because again, it's not just setting up businesses. People should feel welcome when they come into those places. When people come into those places of relaxation, social hotels, all those things, they should feel welcome. And that's where Japan, again, one of my favorite countries in that aspect, that's where they nail it, and I think that Eba Wusaina say Kakurulo, let us consider Akuke Rurolo. Let it be fantastic. And that being said, I'd like to introduce my wonderful sister, Honorable Adora. You're welcome to the stage, and please, you have the mic.
Thank you so much, Nnaemeka. Service culture. Kunye, good morning, every single one of you. Hey, Dr. Nnaemeka, thank you so much for honoring the invitation. Kalu, thank you so much, each and every one of you. Biagono. Agbagide m ọsọ nnọọ ma abidochika nche na ngulu 1 gallon na ya fusi n'ụzọ ma na-agbasi na mbelute ebe a tata Chuka egbukwa m. But thank God now I eventually made it on, and I'm glad to be here. I have a question for for our beautiful guests, but let me move this mic along real quick so that we can take a little more questions from other people before Mbatazienoku. Priscilla Biko, Odika Casey Achobuiju Kalu something before. Casey, can ever one?
Casey
yes. Okay. Casey,
Casey is not so French.
I just want to say something. Before I get you, Casey, I just want to say something. I just want to make another announcement. Odika Asifuna Nkata Otagon over some time. Alex Onyia is a visionary pioneer of something new in Nigeria, especially in Ndi Igbo. He is building very interesting initiatives that develop our education framework beyond what the government is doing, and it's fascinating. He posts this all the time on Twitter. You know, and all on the very intricate, very interesting, but more because too much. But I want you to understand that I got somewhere in Igbo when it comes to education, and very soon, maybe in the next 4 weeks or 3 weeks, we'll bring him on the show to talk about education. I get discuss if I get memo as Ndi Igbo regarding education in Igbo, even if the government is not ready to do their part. I just wanted to announce that for it from now, because once we're done with economy, we'll go into something else, then education, and I got like that. Thank you so much, Alex, again for honoring this invitation. Okay, can I move on? Kesi gani ripusiziaka miri enwilo wonkia. Then I have a comment section. Let's go.
Okay. Chuka, Dalu, thank you, everyone. I've heard so much ideas from this space, and to me, all they not very important. I shift the conversation a little bit. Let's get more practical, because I'm way no, and a lot of people have said it. Now it feels like some of these things also no. We talk about it, nothing gets done. We talk about it, nothing gets done. It could get so many times. So how can we get practical? How can we start the process of making these things happen? One thing I identify that when I need a community that brings us together as a people who can do business together. It might be a digital space where we can all gather. Only when business, you have a database for them. They all line up there. They choose email investments. And then you guys can decide what investment is going to look like. Debt or equity financing, carbon ownership. And then there's a legal aspect to it. People that will seal the deal. And then there's an educational aspect to it. They'll provide information for people to know, okay, these are the things you need to look out for, make sure you're a business. So I want us to get practical. And Kalu, I want to bring you in. Actually, Jugi, if we need to create a space like this for us to collaborate and have a business, it might be an app in urban nature. What is it going to look like? And how practical can it be so that it can attract a lot of people? Yeah, go ahead.
I think you just copy what already exists. Look at Kickstarter, but take away the names. Make it a bit anonymous. So create the ecosystem of Kickstarter, but take away the names of the donors. So if you're looking for an investment, go up there and publish what you want to do, how much you are looking for investors, how much you want from investors, what you want to achieve, and let people that are okay with it then invest in you. But this then means that you have to then maybe have the validators. Who are going to be the validators in that instance? If you create a validation mechanism around something like Kickstarter in Nigeria, then you are onto something. You can see, I saw one in Uganda where they are giving people goats. People come and say, I want 2 goats or 3 goats, because that's how they get money. You get goats, those goats are able to do your farming, milk and all that kind of stuff. Keep the amount people want less than $1 million. For me, if you really want to impact it, how do I say this? Segment what you want. If people need to be below 100,000, those are the market women, the cooperative that you can get 4 women together, like the Grameen Bank, and you can fund them to scale. You can also have the PE side, where younger folks that are more into the IT or looking for a step up can come in and say, this is our investment, this is what we want to do. You have people that can validate what they are saying, can look at their business plan, can assist them in writing that out. It's not a place where kids come in and just get money and then just go do what they want to do. But having a place where you can go and at least shoot your shot, that's what you want to aim for at the minimum. That's really it. So I think take it from there. Let me just also shout out to Mr. Alex. Mr. Alex, I just spoke. I read Mr. Alex Onyia. I read a lot of what he does online, how he has helped the kids. Take him as an example. If he waited for the government, if he wrote a proposal for the government to set up an IT place where kids would learn how to pass JAMB, it would never have happened. But he has gone in there, he has done something. Now the government can come and scale him. They can say, okay, can you help us increase this or to do what in this local government area? It's easier for a government official to then do this than to say they want to wait for him or wait for the government to do it first. So his model, I like it. If you see a problem, solve it. If you can't solve it alone, get somebody else, solve it together. And then from there, you can then go to the government and say, we are solving this problem. We need this for me to scale further. That gives you can go further with that approach. The government is not going to help anybody. The Nigerian government is broke. They only invest in what they think would favor them to win the elections. So try to start on your own and then use the government to pass the laws to enable you to scale. That's just my own comment on this. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kalu. Thank you. Casey, I hope that his responses are your question to an extent. If that is positive, okay. Casey, should we put anything called Ozagogi?
I want us to know that, let us know that we have spent 3 hours here already. And
exactly.
Last time we were here for 4 hours, 30 minutes. I don't want us to do that again. Because we won't be able to, if you made any request over the last 3 hours that hasn't been accepted, is because we haven't been able to bring you in. Sometimes we click accept. Even the Ndi Igbo, Priscilla and Adora are trying to come on as co-hosts. So we're having those glitches and on a fear, but just Marona, your opinion matters, your questions matter. If you can't come on, you can post it on the comment section. I am Maloma, I take it from there over here. But we have 13 minutes to go, so we have to maximize that and move very quickly to the next speaker.
Biko Chuka, I want a question about 2 hours ago. Enjoy, come happy.
Go ahead, please. Gani.
Okay, Onana Osikajo, Mr. Kalu, how can I get a good farmer to partner with me? I run investment company. Jujia 2 hours ago. I'm a Masalia before something.
A very, very broad question. What do you want to farm? Are you looking at a silent financial partner, or you actually want to be involved day to day? Start from what you know. Ask the people that know where you are from. Is there anyone that is doing well that needs capital or needs access to market? So do it very, very scientifically. Who is working and being successful today? Does he need my help? What kind of help? So that you then go there and you are now help, or you're now a sort of investment to that person. Remember, Nigerian interest rates are nearly 30%. So if you're coming with cheaper funds in debt or equity, it's a big help to them. But do it systematically. Find out what is already working and then try to go in there as a partner. What kind of partner? All that will depend on what
Mute your mic, Igbo. We have a hot mic.
Wants to do. That's how you should go about it. And again, Doctor has given you lots of suggestions on if you don't know anyone and you want to go to on a more broad level, maybe you should look at what he's doing. But keep it simple and ask around, and then see if it's something that you feel comfortable with doing. Don't invest unless you know about the opportunity. Don't be a farmer in Nigeria from America. It's not going to work. If you're not comfortable or you have no way of tracking what you're doing daily, then just be clear that you just do debt. Lend them money at a lower interest rate. They pay you back. You move on. Don't do equity. They are not going to be there to track it. That's going to be a surefire way to losing those funds. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, sir, for that fantastic response. And we have one more question. I think that will be the last question from the comment section that I can see. I was even tagged specifically. So I'll see. My worry is that Kalu has avoided the issue of FG influence on the Southeast and stifling our growth and how we can overcome it. If we are talking about regional rail lines and FG refuses to give approval, then what do we do? Mr. Obiareri has spoken well about how his organization has placed focus on Abia simply because of the commitment of OT. When you have governors that are not interested and they will sabotage what you are doing and then rely on FG institutions to ensure that they remain in power, what do we do? I think this question is directed to you, Mr. Kalu, again.
Yeah, so again, it takes us into the realm of governance, politics, and all that. And if I don't like to talk politics, but let me just say it if you hear. The problem the Southeast has is that they've been balkanized and they don't know they've been balkanized. We have to do the politics of, as a region, what can you give us, then we would vote for you. Railways have now been, should we say, devolved, so states can do railways. But there are other things that states cannot do. And the Southeast have got to go to the table and say, we don't have a candidate, just for instance, but we can ensure votes for you. But this is what we want for the Southeast. Again, I'm talking as a region. We have to stop this. What can you give Abia or Imo or whatever? As a region, what can you give to us when we vote for you? We voted for the PDP for 24 years. What did the Southeast get out of it? Good Lord gave us an airport. Yaradua didn't, Basanjo didn't. I like those two guys, but they didn't give us an airport. Free trade zones was the last day. It was signed on the very, very last day of Goodluck Jonathan's exit. That's when they signed the free trade zone in Enugu State. There are many states. Abia doesn't have a free trade zone. Many states have 7 for 2. We don't have any in Abia State. So it's because we're not negotiating well. There is nothing that you cannot get from the federal government, even if it's a law that says you can't get it if you negotiate properly. Remember, Lagos State today ends derivation. They have an oil field in Lagos, but they end derivation. How did they get it? Negotiation. Is Anambra and oil? Is Anambra earning 30%? I don't think so. Why? They haven't negotiated properly. They are still fighting with Kogi State. So it's back to this negotiation. Who negotiated for Lagos? Tinubu. Who negotiated for Anambra? I don't know. So you've got to take that regional approach. The government cannot be the stopping factor. It's just that we have not learned how to negotiate as a region to get what benefits the region. You have so many selfish people. That's why all those names don't mean a lot to me. You've got to draw up a plan. Draw up a development plan that is not consequence on who is the governor or who is the local government chairman. That you will build this road, you will invest in these farms, you would invest in IT, you would train youth, and that's a plan that everyone that wants to take office has to sign up on. The Americans here, they had a contract in America, and that's how the Newt Gingrich became the speaker. They had that contract, and they said if you don't sign on, then the establishment should not support you for elections. We seem to, it doesn't matter the party, PDP, APC, it doesn't matter who it is, but there should be some core things that the Southeast should agree on. For instance, you have to dredge the River Niger annually so you can get the barge from Onitsha out of the ocean. Number two, you have to make sure that you are desilted and all that. I mean, core thing that whoever is the president has to agree on. And once you agree on it, then you come and take the Southeast votes. But it seems to be you do face caps and T-shirts and then people go and vote, and that's the end of it. We have to move beyond that. You have to handle the power of your bloc. You have to copy. Let me end by saying this. Copy what Mr. Tinubu did with the Southwest and implement it in the Southeast. Whenever Tinubu is going to lose an election, he goes and makes a deal with the party that was going to win. Okay, I'll vote for your party, but you give me this. And he gets this, he gets that. They'll give him this, they'll give Lagos State this. He gets his constituency back. He started small, he walked his way to where he is today. So again, you have to hear both sides of the politics. The guy developed a plan to grow the Southwest using the failed elections that he was failing in. So the exact same thing. Go as a bloc and negotiate. You don't have to be president. Negotiate something from whoever wants to be president. And with all of them, if we vote for you, you will get this. If you vote for you, you get this. And then develop the Southeast. Once you dredge River Niger, you open up Delta, you open up Anambra to increase in GDP. These are not things that are everybody wants that. So we should agree on that. 5 or 10 points that any guy that's going to come to office must agree on. You will not do multiple taxation. So if I drive my car and once I enter Southeast, I don't pay multiple taxation. If I pay for license in Abia State, that same license operates across the Southeast. We have Schengen visa. Why don't we have Southeast visa? If you pay for building in Igbo Anambra, it should operate across the whole Southeast. Every day I hear a movement for the accreditation of, or I hear that name that we don't want to see on social media. But why don't you create an economic version of that political strategy where you say local governments must get money. If they don't get money to do their elections or build roads, then we will deal with you. Use that same force against the local government chairman and say your job is to fix primary schools. Go and fix it or we'll call you out. So it's enough of the gra-gra. Put the gra-gra where it matters, delivering the dividends of democracy to the Nigerian people. Let the Southeast set an example. Set the example. Remember we've said at the beginning of the stage, the region with the lowest incidence of poverty is the Southeast of Nigeria. The second most developed state outside Lagos is Anambra. The bulk of the Southeast states are developed in terms of the landmass, building of infrastructure. That's why the incidence of poverty is very, very low. You have all this, but your youth still wake up and then go and leave that Southeast to other places to go and work. You are losing your taxable income. You are losing the labor that can create wealth in your community. You've got to create jobs in your region so your youth stay back in your region, are able to work and pay taxes in your region. This is economics. It's not politics. This is how you do it. You create wealth in your region and then everyone can come to your region to grow. You can't have Nnewi, Onitsha, Aba, and then you say you are a poor region or you are looking for FAC. What is FAC? How much is FAC? When you have the ability, Southeast alone, to bring in 100 billion in diaspora remittances in a year. We've showed you how. So do it and leave this. Let federal do what federal will do. Let the region and the states do what they will do. Meet yourselves and you will see. Whatever has happened, the richest states in Nigeria in terms of GDP per capita are still from that part of the country. Whatever has happened, you don't need the federal government to create wealth. That's the point I'm making. You will still create that wealth, but you need the federal government to make it easier. So make it easier and have a long-term plan and implement. That's just it. Thank you for the invite, guys. I really have to go. It's my pleasure staying here. I love you guys. Let's get busy. Thank you.
Go ahead.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kalu. Ibaligo has seen Nana dodge the question, and you went all out answering these questions. And there's a particular question part you said, where you said the region do not come together and negotiate. And I don't know how else it can be said apart from this particular statement. And it is what it is. You came out and you answered the question, guns blazing. And you didn't miss words, and that it is. You don't have to beg people to do things for you. Create it, it will attract everyone. And that being said, we appreciate you so much. I don't know, you said you're leaving now.
I actually had a question.
For Mr.
I know I came
Kalu?
in.
For Mr.
Yeah,
Kalu?
just a one line. Yeah, it's a one line question. I don't know if he has answered the question.
Okay, you could go ahead. I don't know if Mr. Kalu has more time.
I know
Yeah,
I know he has to leave.
yeah.
I mean, I know he has to leave. Very sorry, Kalu. Been listening to a lot of what you've said, which has resonated a lot with me. But this question is, I don't know how comfortable you are in answering this question. It is, I know you're not a big fan of white elephant projects. The airport in Ebonyi State that was built, do you think it adds any value to Ala Igbo? And if not, why?
Yeah, I got your question. There's something called the marginal propensity to consume. And so what it's essentially saying is this: when you spend a naira somewhere, that naira, how impactful is it? Let me break it down for you. If I build an airport in Lagos State, that airport is more impactful to Lagos. It will grow their GDP more than if I build an airport in Yobe. If I pay salary in Yobe, that salary I pay as the government is more impactful to the citizens of Yobe than an airport. So not all capital projects are created the same. Salary paid in Yobe has a larger impact than an airport in Yobe, but airport is capital. So when we say capex, let's first get that out of the way, that not all capital projects are stimulative. Salary in Yobe is more stimulative than airport in Yobe. Fact. Now, Ebonyi Airport is going to cost, with the runway that they want to increase and all that, it's going to cost them, is that not 50 billion? I had it somewhere in dollars. The amount in dollars is going to cost them, if you convert it to dollars or naira, 50 billion naira or something like that. Are you saying if you took that billion and you gave 10% of that money to Alex Onyia and you said train all the youths in this state on how to code, how to write programs, how to do service call center in Ebonyi to serve the US market, which one will give you a larger return on investment? That airport or the IT training for free to every citizen of Ebonyi with a free laptop with solar. So they go for training, they get a free laptop, they get solar. So every youth in Ebonyi from say 14 years old to 25 would get a laptop, would be trained on whether it's Python or coding or even call center. You give them a headphone and then they can be call center. Which one in 5 years would double the GDP of Ebonyi, the airport or the IT project? Of course, it's the IT project. There's nothing wrong with building an airport, but because your needs are limited, your resources are limited, then you have to do what scale of preference, and you invest where you get the larger marginal propensity, the larger marginal income. That's where you invest it in. So if you take all that money and you build an airport that planes will not land, then you have destroyed capital. It's the same as taking that money, digging the ground, putting the money into the ground and covering it. There is no difference.
There's a famous picture of the kids in Ebonyi eating leftover food in the image of that airport. That's a Pulitzer Prize picture right there. You could have fed those kids. You built airport. The kids are now eating remnants or whatever it is in the image of that airport. This is what we've missed in Nigeria. This is where Nigeria has missed it. Go back to what we started off with. What did Singapore do? They had a nation with rocks and rats. They trained the Singaporeans to be the best civil servants in the world. So everything in Singapore works. The Singapore guys don't have to build Facebook, but the guy that invented Facebook lives in Singapore. The other guy, the Argentina guy, the Brazilian, he lives in Singapore. Almost everyone in Singapore is an expert, the millionaires. But the Singapore guys built a nation that works. If Ebonyi had gone and said, okay, our problem in Ebonyi is poverty. Ebonyi state is the poorest state in southern Nigeria. And it's not by saying they're just poor that they're the last. No. Ebonyi is competing in terms of poverty with Sokoto, Yobe, Kebbi. Look at the numbers. Ebonyi as a state, I don't know why. This state has got rice, it's got salt, yet that state in particular is very poor. If you are a governor, the former governor was building education, Sam Egu or so. If you are a governor, your immediate need is to create wealth in Ebonyi. That's your immediate need. And what's the fastest, almost the only way that we know in the history of mankind that is proving that if you invest in something, you get wealthy? It's not agriculture, it's education. If you invest in educating people, they get richer. There is no nation, do this exercise, there is no nation on earth that has increased its GDP per capita without increasing its education budget. Check it. Any nation from beginning of time, when you hear of Baghdad was a country of commerce, what else was in Baghdad? A library. When you hear Greece, Cairo, when you hear nations rising the economic sphere, what else do you see rising? There are libraries. You hear the education drives the economy. That's the only guarantee you have in life, that if you train your kids, they will earn more than the kids are not trained per capita on the average. So when you take all that money and you destroy it by building a quote-unquote airport, that's what you've done. You've destroyed capital, because time Volleyball says that the naira you have today is worth more than the naira you have tomorrow. The money they use for the airport should have been used to train and eradicate poverty in Ebonyi. They could have built rice mills and become the largest exporter of rice in West Africa. They did not. They could have built salt and become the largest exporter of salt in the whole of West Africa. They did not. They could have trained all those young kids to stop selling goods on Lagos in IT and Python. They did not. What did they build? An airport. If 10 planes land in that airport a month, I will donate $1 million to whoever, to Arsenal or whatever. That's my take, guys. Let me go now.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That was good. That was the question. That was the response I was.
Okay, Kalu, we have posted the facts on the Jumbotron for everybody to look at. The information you shared initially about our multidimensional position, poverty by age and group and states using the Nigerian MPI 2022, the position of the southeastern states on that. Very interesting facts. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the very, very high value information that you shared tonight. This is the bomb. Like the beauty of this conversation will only manifest when we use all that we have heard today, put it to practice, put it to something that is of good use, and bring our energy together to see what we can create in the Southeast, because it doesn't come very easily. Thank you. It did this for free. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Nkabo gene ezigbote akuruno. Because every church will go here now. Millions are gonna and so thank you, Mr. Kalu. I really appreciate your work, your advice, and your tips. And just like Chukakuru, Biko, the best thing Bugine, e.g. all this Akonuche that has been dropped here, Jiria, Cheya Ofuma with Wefute Gogi. If you need advice, you know what to do. Or you can replay this space in case you forget. This space will be available for you to listen to again. With that being said, we appreciate you, Mr. Kalu. I don't want them when he choriku. Can you those opportunity kafaku?
Oh no, it
People
will just
Mr. Kalu
thank
get
you.
here about.
No, it
It
will
looks
just
like it looks like he wants to say something. His mic is still on.
I was just
All
saying
right.
thanks, but I'm going to take off now. Love you guys. Take care.
Oh, thank you. All
Aww,
right.
also love
Bless
you
you.
guys. Onyia Igbo. Igwe Bu Ike. I still love you guys.
Half a room.
Big no. 100 million, 100 million. If
Oh,
Naya
Kalu,
go
thank you
100
so
million.
much.
Thank you, sir.
You know, if I speak Igbo, money will come in. So just let this way. It's I can say clearly. I don't say any wrong words. Just sorry about. I'll send my white goat fee for speaking English. I apologize.
100 million only. I'm very cheap.
Zimbabwe dollars. I'm sending it over to you. 100 million Zimbabwean dollars right now in your account.
US dollars, Vico.
Yes,
Either
ma'am.
that or Australian dollars. Anyone beside that, I am Maronka.
The committee will decide.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. We also appreciate everyone here on the speaker session. When does on Nonga Weki Jujogi, Mr. Alex, Mr. Nnaemeka Nokweba. So Mobrini with other questions to pull going. I think in the next 7 minutes.
Nnaemeka Ada to the listeners.
All right, no problems. Mr. Alex Nonga.
Just brought him back. I just brought Dr. Nnaemeka back. Because from the DM, that I haven't been able to respond to all this while until I now saw it again. Dr. Nnaemeka, if you're listening, this is the question that I want to direct to you.
Biko Chuka, before Guy Chefu, can you go our page?
Yes.
This page, then go ahead say, every week, I made this thing. So Dr. Kalu, next week Dr. Nnaemeka, Kahari Chefu. Biko umunem nonga, can you say in English? Makandi international please. Please kindly follow Kunia Media. We do this every week and would like to, have you every time listen to these conversations, be a part of these conversations. You can drop your DMs with the Kunia Media or any of the co-hosts or the speakers here. We would definitely be very glad to interact with you. Thank you so much. Okay.
Ossie, I am doing a local loan business with my elder brother. I'm currently doing more than 100 million in my village, Nanokwa. But recently, I've stopped putting in more money because of the current exchange rate. And again, I'm being very skeptical. Just in case if something happens to my brother, how do I go about recovering my money? This is a lot of concern. I don't blame you. His advice will be appreciated. We could go on, Doctor. What would you say to this? I don't know whether he's a young man or because 100 million go Onyia bro young man.
100 million.
Doctor, do you want to respond to this?
Yes, I want to respond to it. Between 2016 to 2022, we lost 328 million naira. We lost the money not because we did not do the due diligence. We lost the money not because we did not put in place measures to mitigate the risk. We lost the money because of the criminal Nigerian state governance and security apparatchik, and we are not deterred. Basically, we have learned from it. See, let me tell you, the best experience, the best teacher you can ever get in life is based on experience. Over the next 2 years, we are going to do $2.3 million investments in the southeast of Nigeria, and we aim to earn about $476 million annually for the next 50 years. And we'll get it right, learning from experiences. There's nobody who ever became a billionaire without losing money in the first instance. Go and check stories and histories. Cosmos Madoka, one of the most honest, truest entrepreneurs southeast of Nigeria, was so broke at a time in his life that he borrowed the weighing machine of his wife and went to market and was weighing people's weight to be able to make 10 naira per weighing machine. And at a time he became a driver, helping people to move their cars to Nnewi and then using the cars to move goods and then buying things from Nnewi to Lagos. Today, Cosmos Madoka is worth over $1.7 billion. Very honest billionaire, without the awareness of the criminal people who leverage on political, gamemanship. anybody who actually understands wealth creation should go to Cosmos and learn. In fact, in 1993, Cosmos lost most of his wealth because of Abacha's devaluation of the currencies from 22 naira to $1 to 88 naira. The Japanese who supplied him credits on vendor financing were expecting him not to bring money. Cosmos went and sold all his assets to be able to fulfill obligation. And because of the faith he kept with Japanese, they were able, he's the only person in Nigeria who has franchise with BMW and most of the biggest companies in Nigeria without any guarantees. He does not, they give him goods on credit because then Cosmos will die rather than betray confidentiality and trust that people have bestowed on him. Bros, you've lost 100 million naira. I lost 328 million naira in 6 years and I'm not giving up. The truth is, the Nigeria ticks the right boxes for anybody who wants to become Elon Musk. And the south east of Nigeria is where the market base. I give you an example. The dairy industry in Nigeria is 2.46 trillion naira. Half of it is in the southeast, and there is no dairy center in the southeast. We are putting in place measures to make sure that no idiot comes from Mauritania, from Senegal to come and sell kwashoko cow in the southeast and kill our people. We are setting up dairy centers in every of the 15 senatorial zones in the southeast. 5,000 milking cows and 500 bulls.
Sorry,
in the
Doc.
next 10 years. Yes, yeah.
Sorry, Doc. The guy didn't say that he lost the money. What he's saying is that he wants to make sure that he doesn't lose his money. The 100
No,
million.
he cannot lose his money. Let me tell you why he should not lose his money. He must not lose his money like us. He must invest in cooperatives. And let me tell you how you will do it. Abia State is where we are going to. And let me give you an example. We are doing greenhouses. We have 17 local government areas in Abia State. We have 184 electoral wards. In every ward of Abia State, we are doing 15 greenhouses. You can't lose your money doing greenhouses. Let me tell you why you won't lose your houses. Greenhouses are done in gated environment. Whether the governor bans open grazing or not, nobody can attack your farm because it is gated and walled. You do solar powered pumping machine. To do a greenhouse of 30 by 10 meter, which is 300 square meter, based on what we have done with all the infrastructure, it's about 10.8 million naira annually. As I'm talking to you, ask anybody who is in the market, a kg of bell pepper in Nigeria, they're selling for 5,500 naira. If you do a greenhouse of 300 square meter in your land, you will make about 22 million every year based on the current market price. And it's going to get worse because insecurity in Nigeria. So people in fact, if you're from the southeast, you're blessed. I beg you, if you don't have any land that is gated, don't waste your money buying land anywhere outside Nigeria. Go to your village, buy land, fence it, do greenhouse, and I can bet you in your father's house, do greenhouse. If you buy a plot of land, get it. That plot of land will fetch you 10 million naira profit for the next 20 years. Let nobody deceive you. You control your destiny by yourself. I have learned from mistakes, and I can tell you, I have investment in Lagos State. I have over 650 plus of land in Lagos State. I am selling and I'm investing in the southeast. Please, I'm begging every one of us here. Akurula is very important. If you are in America, you are in Britain, in UK, everywhere, I'm begging you, go to your father's house, fence your land. We will help you to do greenhouse. Bring 50%, we'll bring 50%. And I can assure you, if you use 10.8 million to do a greenhouse, in 12 months, you will recover your money. For the remaining 19 years, you'll be making 6 million naira profit comfortably as long as God helps you. Bros, don't be afraid though. You've not lost money. Nnaemeka have lost money. And I'm not broke. I am not broken.
But just if you can respond to this in 1 minute. Let's say, not the skeptical because of the exchange rate. Keko gets to recover his money.
Okay. Let me give you an example. Ask anybody who
his brother.
Okay, listen to me. In France, in Spain, in Germany, please fact check me. A kg of the bell pepper sells between €2 to €2.50, whatever. As I'm talking to you in Nigeria, a kg of the bell pepper, even in the open market, is selling for 5,500 naira. In urban supermarket, a kg is selling for 24,000 naira. Ask anybody, please. If you are in Nigeria, please fact check me. I'm not talking about export. It is more profitable to sell bell pepper in Nigeria than to export. And I can tell you, you saw what happened in Niger State. 3 local government areas have evacuated and left the bandit takeover. In Zamfara, in Katsina, in Gombe, it is same thing. If you are an Igbo man, no, you have a property, fence it and do greenhouse. I'm telling you, whether you are a kg of bell pepper in Nigeria, ask anybody who goes to the market. Habereno pepper is selling for 4,000 naira per kg. You can produce it in the southeast for 500 naira per kg under your greenhouse setting. You can produce your bell pepper for 1,000 naira per kg in the southeast under your gated, even with all the infrastructure. It is going for today at 5,500 naira per kg. And I can bet you by December 2024, it will go for 12,000 naira per kg.
Doc, let's take this question from Miri Nwelo. Then you respond to that. Miri Ngwa Ganiru.
Ekene m unu ndị be anyị. Anọ m ihe ya ọbụla na-ekwu maka the situation of agriculture, IT, and how to develop our region na Southeast. So, onwe ajụjụ m chọrọ ịjụ. Ka maka ihe dịka onye nwe infrastructure, enwe property already. For instance, let's say enwe a big farm. Because if my hand bido kita na-ekwu akụrụ ọnụ, ọ dịka ihe bido taa, bụrụ ihe tata. Onwe mgbe eme something like this in the 80s. Beside ebe Anambra, Ogulugu, Adane, people like Ekene Dilichukwu amepecha farms, even though due to bad transition plan, those things are lying fallow now. So when them were over 500 and something hectares of land under lease, and they were planting teak wood, and in my teak wood and export to China, or my toilet paper, my paper, and all kinds of things. Such people, no one know how they use that massive land. We can partner with already interested. Personally, on my own side, I used to have a trucking company working with Nestle. But due to situations, I now relocated out of Nigeria. And I was running that business from my base, coming to Nigeria almost every 3 months to check things out. But unfortunately, the issue was a question of trust. My security man, which was from a security company, brand new truck tires, I bought them almost 10 million naira. They stole the whole thing. Even I'm still paying. I just finished paying for the thing. And eventually my business collapsed and I packed the trucks and I started to sell it. And again, my yard is strategically located now, even though no outside Igbo land, Ogun State, about 1 hectare of land, 1 point something hectares.
Pico, my brother, Ajuki was join, and you've taken a lot of time already. And
no, Ajuju Najubu.
Hold on.
Assets.
Please, don't shut him up. Allow him to vent him, please. Because I beg you, this man is the kind of people who want to hear. Allow him to finish. Let him.
I wanted to tell him, Bona, I get 3 hours next week to exhaust this conversation about farming, agro. So, Kayali, what time I'm telling you at this time, I just kind of now because. If I get discussed today about opportunities, but I can't be specific. So, my brother, Biko, make it a date next week, Saturday, 8 p.m. Nigerian time. I'm assuring you, Dr. Nnaemeka has also given his word. He's going to be here. I may exhaust this conversation about farming. I got banemia. Well, have different aspects. Man, can you could be there by yourself? I'm going to get and you may quite extend to another particular show episode. I beg I continue because farming is one of the most important things I get discussed. Business, economy series. So anyway, let's just back because to be honest with you, last week we were here for 4.5 hours and we need to manage our time because we didn't ever since 8 o'clock and I manage the time.
Okay, my brother, let me tell you something here. You see, one of the things I don't do, I'll be honest with you. Whenever I see diasporas venting their frustration, I always allow them to speak. Let me tell you something. Since 2007, I've been working with the diasporas in Ndi Igbo. And I will tell you this. I say to anybody who cares to listen, the biggest investments Ndi Igbo have is our diasporas. Let me tell you, we can easily attract $50 billion annually into Ala Igbo if we can provide trust, if we can provide confidence, if we can provide honesty for our dad. You hear what he said? The guy lost so much. And I'm telling you, it's a bitter experience. See, you see Ala Igbo, the greatest problem we have is trust, integrity, focus, and honesty. You know, I pray that next week this guy should come on space and be able to vent this. You know, I always, when I hear diaspora talk, I give them space. I give you an example. There's a guy Neme Love. Neme is my friend. Neme is based in New York. Neme set up a poultry farm in Port Harcourt, not in the southeast. Neme is from Anambra State, if I should remember. Neme sells 45 million naira worth of poultry products every 2 weeks. Neme will have established his business in the southeast, but because of his security, he went to Port Harcourt to do it. He's my very good friend, and I know 1,000 Nemes who are willing to invest in that. In issue of trust, issue of insecurity, issue of criminality among our people is something we must never try to gloss over. I'm telling you this thing based on personal experiences. Next week is a time. And I must tell you this, if we be able to fix this issue of fidelity, this issue of trust, I can tell you, Ndi Igbo will be like Catalonia. We will build an economy that the whole of Nigeria will so envy. That without even the criminality in Nigeria, we will be able to sustain ourselves and make our region an envy of all in Africa. Let me leave it here for the meantime.
Doctor, I want us to take our time to appreciate Dr. Nnaemeka for his time. He wasn't even booked for this space, but he was invited by his friend and he saw what we're doing and decided to just come and contribute. Omaka, we appreciate you so much. For your contributions and your advice and your help, all the things he dropped Leba and Albania. Alex Onyia, Aki are the options. Mr. Alex, if you want to ask a question, I appear till next week. But if you want to say something, go ahead.
I want to contribute.
Okay, briefly.
Question.
All right.
Yes, I think first of all, the whole trust is not an Igbo thing. It's not a Nigerian thing. We need to start doing system thinking. For instance, bring me the most notorious criminal in Nigeria. Take the person to the UK. You see that the person will stay 1 year and the person will not pinch one person pin. The point is that I don't run personal businesses. I run organizations. And most of the thing I do is I set up systems. In my businesses, I don't even care about a person. I care more about a system. So no matter who you are, once you meet the requirement of that system, the person and the system checkmates you all the time. So when you do business with people just like Arsenal, you broke law, you broke like traffic law. In the UK, you are driving, immediately you break the law, the camera have seen you, next thing they post your bill in your house. By the time they do it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, next time, you will definitely obey the traffic rule. It's not like the people there wants to obey the traffic rule. Nigeria, if you break traffic rule, nobody will tell you anything. These days, or after like 1 year, when you now want to come and renew, they will tell you now sort somebody from behind. At the end of the day, you will keep breaking it. So the point is that human beings are human beings everywhere. What checkmates behavior is system. When you are making your investment, you need to start by system thinking. First of all, don't do people, do system. And now there are technologies that can help you across board. So by the time you want to say, okay, I'm investing this, I want to do agricultural this, you do recruitment. There are people that studied agricultural extension. There are people that studied this. Based on that, hire the right people. Set systems that, because if you're making any investment above 10 million, that's an investment that requires you to run a proper company. So if you set these systems in place, the truth of the matter is that the chances of those kind of fraud becomes way less. It's not like it will go away completely. But if it has happened in maybe in 80-90%, you realize that it happens. I've run organization. This is like my 90 of running my organization. And I've never experienced one single day of theft. It's not like everybody there doesn't have potential to steal. But because the system does not allow it, I've done other things as well, even different places. You see that it is almost impossible because I don't approach things by human beings. I approach things by system. So one of the things I want us, that's why I so much emphasize in terms of education. I invest a lot of money going to different kind of business schools, trying to understand different things because I understand it's people that run multinational companies. People like Marriott, for instance. Marriott run hotels in almost all countries in the world, and they maintain exactly the same standard. I remember when someone was talking about coming to the East. I was in a hotel in Enugu, Omade Hotel, and I was there. And yes, this is one of the best hotels there. I was just looking at them. I saw that the services were not up to what I was. I just had to call them and start showing even the manager, start telling them, see, listen, I really want you guys to succeed, but you need to invest a lot more in standardized trainings. Or you give people who have specialties like Marriott or Protea, let them handle your this, have the property, have a franchise agreement, take 60% of them. So let these people give you maximum of profit and the maximum of experience. One of the best hotels I've been in the Southeast is this Marriott Hotel in Owerri. You can see that these people are maintaining the standard, what do you call it, the Marriott standard. So the point is that, and there are also organizations who are experts in running these things. We should also start looking for them so that we can also lynch on them. So if you're making your investment, you mustn't always get 100%, because it's always better to get 5% of 100 billion than to get 100% of 1 million. So we need to start understanding that part. So when we start developing systems across almost all verticals, trust me, this whole issue of trust will just be something of the past. Thank you.
Alex,
Thank you so much.
Oh, service.
Thank you so much, Dr. Alex. Like, Ikuru here, very, very spot on. Everybody has a tendency to be a criminal, but when there are no enabling environments, you can checkmate anybody's excesses. There's nowhere else to say. There's no other way to say than this. Thank you so much for hitting the nail on the head, and that's fantastic, Mr. Alex. I would definitely investigate more on your work. It sounds very interesting and something in line with what I do. For sure. Thank you so much for that. I don't want to something. I think you would have the mic for now, unless my true culture.
Adabiko, nyanyi your vote of thanks. Kai mechie biko. Anya makwute ebe anụwa.
I gave a closing prayer.
Mba.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Nnaemeka. Fin plan, Kalu, hope go. But thank you again, every single one of you. Biano, Ma Alex, so after Amono Chani and everybody know in the house. Bikono, Miri Abodago, but I wanted to tell him, yeah, Bian no, follow the handle, call Bian next week. Because next week go panelo Dr. Nnaemeka. And more I never alive. Not the power major with for next.
I'm a Wada. I'm a with Lucozade boost. Becheruno.
Me buton no nuku everybody can know the major map would not total missing a third major live direct from the source. Because
now. Remember that wasn't a space, no problem. Anyway, finish it.
Yeah, I wanted to say thank you so much for investing the time with us, coming here. Next weekend, yeah, both strictly agro, everything that has to do with agriculture na Ndi Igbo. And you people have listened to Dr. Nnaemeka for know the very well knowledge and passionate about that sector na Ndi Igbo. So bikono, follow the handle Kunie Media, kunu tinyente no everything no anything na again no. Kunu malo Ibido spaces una malo any post email na malo no. And don't forget the MONI Show meaning money and when una no bro just ego, even though one I like to refer to it as ego, but it means Makaodimma Ndi Igbo. So it means every time you batana space every time unu kunye media if I na babo if I basalo Odimma Ndi Igbo. So Bikono, thank you once more. Follow the page and Kaizukone again next weekend. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adora. One and wine. Again, I did special. This brings us to the end of today's episode of the MONI Show. Thank you. Thank you all for the time, for the patience. It's been a very insightful conversation, Albania, and you are all part of it. Mande July the draw, Mande Sarah the draw, Mande Galante, Mande their comments, Mande troll, Ibehana comment session. Uninable part of it. That is how it works, because the idea is for us to create that network. People are now and where space space also everybody's discussing towards the same direction. I guess it develop or buying. This is renaissance that is going on now, and maybe it's just something that has to happen, and it's happening. And I get continue like that from next week. Thank you so much, Doctor, once again. Thank you, Onyia, for coming on to help us with this conversation. Thank you to everybody who asked questions. Thank you to everybody who shared this space. Thank you to anybody who shared this link and anything about us on this space tonight. It's
the MONI Show.